Well, hello there, Master Hellish here, and welcome to this rather impromptu live stream. I wasn't planning on streaming today, up until about, I think it was 8 o'clock this morning, when Jack and Mac turned around and was like, Jingle Jam's on, and I'm like, oh my god. I was planning a nice, relaxing evening, making my last vlog videos, that I've been recording over the weekend when I went to the Model Railway exhibition and to get the hellish news up and sorted and all that sort of thing. But no, Jack and Mac ruined everything. The Yogscast are doing their Jingle Jam, and as part of that, they play OpenTTD. And that generates quite a lot of interest about OpenTTD when they do that each year. So I'm here to help anybody who wants to know more. Not that I know everything, it's just I know more than somebody who knows nothing, so if I can impart some of that upon people, fantastic. Tinman's here watching on YouTube. Hello, I'm doing good today, thank you very much. There's a few other people popping in as well. There's quite a few people popping in right now. I can see Freddie there as well, and of course the moderators and Fed's in here as well. We've got the moderators and some of the Viewer Plus subscribers over on the Discord chat. They might say hello. They're probably trying to, but not realising that they're muted by default.
Yeah,
Hello.
Yeah, there we go. So we're using a channel on my Discord where you're muted by default, just to stop a lot of
Hi.
a lot of all the kind of stuff that's going on. Joe's here as well. You feel it's more fun watching people play. But you struggle? Nah, it's just play. It's not too bad. I was watching the Jingle Jam, but it did crash. And it looks like they've got 90-degree turns turned on. So we will be referring to the Yogscast Jingle Jam throughout the beginning portion of this stream. We will be transitioning into taking questions, doing things, and all that sort of stuff. I see one of the moderators has already used one of the the relatively new commands that we've got here. There we go. Hello in Australia. Melbourne. I'm pretty sure my cousin lives there. I'm not 100% sure. I think she moved. Hello, Pat. Welcome to the stream. So, like I said, I'm not able to actually see the Jingle Jam right now. So what we're going to do is that these guys, even though they've got like 30,000 people watching them, they're notoriously bad at the game. I mean, they're not bad, but for pros, they're bad. So we're going to be checking out some of maybe their mistakes and some of the things that they've done. And we're going to be saying how maybe they could fix it. And also I'm going to be taking all your different bits there. But yeah, tell us what you're struggling with, Joe. What's going on? Tell me. Ren says, I always struggle with setting up timetables for buses and trains. Oh, Rens, that is a little bit of a tricky. That's a tricky one. No, that's right. No KSP tonight. I believe the official announcement is coming tomorrow, and I did mention it on Tuesday's live stream, but KSP is paused for a little while. KSP is paused. KSP will be back at some point. Hello to people from Black Forest, Germany. Also people from no, there was another one. Canada. That was Jim. But here we are. This is OpenTTD. And also, if you're interested in the development and progress of the game, OpenTTD version 13 is coming out soon. I'm not a dev. I just read the blogs. When is the National Day in the UK? I don't think there's a National Day in the UK. I'm not 100% sure what you're referring to, but there's people here from France. Hello, France. All of you. Shall I get a basic service up and running so that we've got some money and I don't have to cheat money in on a tutorial? When I did my video tutorials, I did cheat money in because it was just a tutorial, and that's the only time I think I've ever cheated.
Nothing wrong with cheating.
There's nothing. Well, I would disagree with that, Brandon. I would disagree with that. So the Viewer Plus subscribers and the moderators will be chipping in with maybe questions, prompts, comments. Happy 1st of December from Romania. A friend of mine's from Romania. Hello, welcome. Version 13, yeah. Version 13 actually fixes one of the problems we had in our live streams. So, you may see that I'm scrolling around the map. That is tip number 1 from me, is finding a good place to start. So what we've got here, we've got a completely vanilla version of OpenTTD. We've got no mods, we've got no game scripts, no any of that stuff. Even if I go into the game options, we're using the open graphics, the open sound, the open music's on. It's really quiet, so you might not be able to hear it. Jan's from Norway by the sounds of it. We've got somebody from Ukraine. Welcome. Freddie. Or people from all over the place. That's fantastic. Right, we're going to get a basic service up and running. Just have glancing over at the Yogscast Jingle Jam. For some reason, I'm not able to watch it while streaming. Like, the video just keeps pausing and stuff.
Lower your quality to like.
Yeah,
120.
I don't think that's the problem. It's not an internet bandwidth issue. There's something else going on. I'm going to actually change
hardware acceleration on your browser, maybe.
Yeah, it's something like that. But it's not important. We're going to be looking at them throughout the stream to see if anything's going wrong. And if there is anything going wrong, maybe we'll demonstrate how to do it right. Now, if you are watching live, you can go and check it out. So I've actually just posted the link in the YouTube, Facebook, Discord, and Twitch. It's just the Yogscast. They're doing their charity stream. Looks like they recently just hit their goal as well. So I'm looking for 2 towns that are of a good size, where there's a lot of large buildings near open land without like lots of little buildings around the edge. So like this section here, this is really good because you can get a train station in this little gap, and the closer you can get in that little gap, the more coverage you can get. So you can see if I just press X on my keyboard, it toggles that there. Tinman says, Hellish, how do you do timetables? What are your tips and tricks? You just started with a new map where you use it with passengers. Okay, first of all, I did actually do a tutorial video on timetables, so that's probably the best thing. But in a little while, we'll probably give it a go on here anyway. Why not? But starting off, I probably wouldn't build here. Can anybody see why I wouldn't choose to build where I'm building now? For the very beginning. Later on in the game, I probably would. Anybody in the voice chat or on the
farmland?
DJ got there first. I'm sure the chat will catch up with you there as well. Yes, farmland. There's farmland all around here, and that is expensive. Okay, so if I show you, we can place one piece of electrified rail here. Oh, not while the game's paused, we can't. There we go. It costs us 375. If we do it on farmland, it costs us £1,439. Now, bear in mind that the prices in OpenTTD change depending on what year you're in and stuff like that. So I'm starting in 1975. So these values are just relative values. So it's when you start the game. If you start in 1925, for example, it's going to be cheaper. And yes, Renz, Tinman, Jim, you all got it. Farmland. That is why I would avoid starting here.
Couldn't you use shift instead of placing it?
Yeah, but I just wanted to do that for demo purposes. If you want to try and find out how much something will cost, you can just hold down shift and press the button, and it will tell you the estimated cost. There you go. Tells you the estimated cost if you hold down shift. That's not always reliable. That's why it says estimated. It doesn't say like will cost or the cost. It says estimated. Because for some things, the game just gets it wrong. I don't know about that. We're too poor for that. Yes, we are too poor for that. So we're going to carry on looking around the map for a good place to start off. Why might I not choose Little Runworth? Why might this be a bad... Have we ever done an interactive tutorial before?
No.
I don't think we have. I mean, I explain things when I'm doing my videos, and I've made tutorials, and I explain things when we're doing our live streams, but I don't think we've actually done a live tutorial before. Okay, here we go. Here's Little Runworth. Why might we avoid Little Runworth?
Hills.
Bent says, okay, but later in the game when you have money. Yes, later in the game when you have money. Just don't worry about the farmland. Hello, I learned to use signals from you. Enjoy playing OpenTTD. Thanks so much. You're welcome. On a hill. Yes, the hills. Terrain. Jim, Timon, Bobcat's got it as well. Tower is watching on Twitch. Hey, Tower, welcome to the stream. So we're looking for somewhere away from hills, away from farmland. Obviously, with a relatively large amount of large buildings would be good. And we also don't want just one. We want two. Okay. So there's bound... I mean, I'm being quite picky, but I'm being quite picky on purpose. Like this one up here. This little Madwingworth. Maddingworth. It's on the top of a hill. That would be just like OpenTTD suicide. What key combination do you use to delete wrongly placed tracks? There's two ways of doing it that I can think of. You can either hold control. That toggles whatever you've got into remove mode. So if you place a station, if you hold... oh no, hang on a minute. It doesn't work with stations. It works with a few things. What else does it work with? It works with track. It works with road. Basically tile... like your... what's the word I'm looking for? Like road and rail pieces.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, you can hold control. If you press R, it toggles it. So they're your two options. I mean, your other option is actually to come up here and click the remove tool. So R is to toggle it if you want to go into remove mode. And control is, well, it toggles the toggle. So if you're in remove mode, it actually makes it in build mode if you hold control. I barely ever use that, but it's a nice option if you want it. Right, we need to pick somewhere, otherwise we're never going to build anything. That's on a hill. That's on a hill. That's a bit small. That's not. That's a bit small. That one's between a hill and the coast. It's not great to start off with. That one is on a hill, but it's got a lot of really large buildings here that we could probably get in the catchment area. If there was another town nearby, that might be really good as well. I do live... what we got over here? Look, this is a very large town. I mean, if you were just looking for large towns, the best thing to do is go into the town directory and sort by population. And then it can just take you straight to the biggest ones. Look at that. Right, let's have a quick look over at the Yogscast.
How I usually play the game.
Yeah, Brandon just goes for the biggest towns. Can you deactivate a timetable? Yes, you can deactivate a timetable. For your quad challenge, you have one passenger train from London to Exeter, and suddenly trains load at 100%, but wouldn't leave the station anymore? Waiting for a schedule to depart. Yeah, I just wouldn't use timetables. When it comes to very busy games, especially like in the quad challenge, you pace it by number of vehicles. You don't pace it by time. So if you've got a station and there's no vehicles waiting to load, you need more vehicles. And if you've got a station and there's a load of vehicles in that station loading and they're queuing up behind the station, you've got too many. So, like, that's really the crux of the matter. I very rarely use timetables because you need vehicles at the station loading at all times in order for industries to grow. Well, to help them grow best.
The only use I can see for timetables is delivering, like, farming supplies every month.
Yeah, that's a good use of them. There's other ways of doing that that's easier. But yeah, timetables are good for making nice regular deliveries. So if you wanted engineering supplies, for example, in a Furs game to go somewhere, you could do that. Fellow Brit here on Facebook, your tutorial series was fantastic. Way for me to get started with OpenTTD. Having last played the original on the PS1. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I think timetables are pretty much only needed if you want to kind of emulate realness. You want to get some reality out of it. The PS1 had some interesting bits to it. Okay, so I'm just going to go... Oh, look at this. This is a nice town. This is not the biggest town on the map. And is there another big town nearby that we could easily get a railway to? Not really. Not really. It's a bit rubbish, actually. Third on the list is actually the one that I was using to demonstrate not going near farmland. Also, lots of rivers near the town can make it quite difficult as well, so you might want to try and stay away from. That's a good town. That is a very good town. Also, the closer you can build a station to the centre of a town without having to delete too much or change too much land, the better, because a town grows from the middle outwards. So if you can get your station really close to the centre because there's like a corner exposed, like here, look, if we get rid of 2 pieces of road, we can get a station right in here. Okay, which is really close to the centre of the town. The town's going to very quickly go round that station, and the more it builds around the station, the more catchment town buildings you're going to get in that catchment. Unfortunately, here it's water next to it, so you would actually have to build some land.
See, would you class water as flat land?
It's possible future flat land. And you know what? I think we'll do that. We're going to go from Caham to Prunninghall. Why not? There we go. We're going to get rid of these 2 bits of road. I'm going to keep pausing the game because I'm talking about a lot of stuff. Oh, you've not set up timetables. But somehow only this train line has a timetable. How can I activate a timetable? Pat, I would definitely check out my timetable tutorial. We will be looking at timetables tonight if we get chance. But we haven't even got a line started yet, so we'll probably have a look at them in a little while. We've got a message here. I can see the point of them on the passenger side, getting things up so you're 1 in, 1 out. Yeah, that's one thing you might want to consider, that like if you've got a lot of vehicles moving around, it can be good to like not clog your stations up. But in theory, if you've got a good station, maybe you won't have the problem, like of throughput and flow. Let's get something down on the board here. I'm going to go, we're going to go with a platform length of 6, because why not? Platform length, you need a platform length that's at least as long as the trains you're planning. And I think I'm going to go with 4 tracks right away. It's more expensive, but hey, I'm feeling dangerous.
Good for later expansion.
It is good for later expansion. There we go. Right, I'm just going to build... I'm going to build 2 different entrances to these stations. I'm going to build a very basic one, and then I'm going to do a more advanced one. Terminus stations do not need signals on the end of the platforms. You can imagine a station having a built-in path signal at the end of each platform for the purposes of the train departing the station. For the purposes of blocks on the line, you need them. For terminus only. If you've got a Ro-Ro or a more complicated station, you will need more.
Yeah, that's always interested me, is if terminuses don't need signals, why do Ro-Ros do?
Yeah, the reason is that the because you connect track on the other side of the Ro-Ro. So, for example, if I do that on the other side of the terminus, those 2 platforms now count as 1 block. They all count as the same block. But if you don't have track on the end and it is a terminus, there's no join at the other end, so then each platform can be counted as its own block without signals. So maybe we'll have a closer look at that in a bit. This mouse acceleration, it's crazy. Okay, so I'm just using D for the delete tool, but really I should remove rather than delete. We're going to put a little kink in the track so that we can get past this point here. One of the things we noticed that a lot of the Yogscast members were doing on their railway lines was building lots of bridges. And bridges are slightly cheaper, but you have to upgrade the speed of them as you go out throughout the game. Whereas tunnels, you do not. Now, there is a slight, and it is a slight, acceleration penalty for tunnels. It's in the code. We've checked. And yes, if your train is accelerating, there is a slight penalty. But if your train's going at what's the word? Where it's constant. If the train's going at a constant speed, it doesn't affect it. King Assassin Gaming, hey Master Hellish and Co. Don't forget, everybody, we've got that charity live stream on the 17th. If you haven't heard about that, get that on your diary. We're doing a triple OpenTTD live stream. It's going to be amazing. We've got over £100 worth of Steam vouchers to give away. We've got over 25 games to give away. Viewer Plus subscriptions. We've got all sorts of fantastic things. You could go to the website. Go to masterhellish.net. All the information is on the homepage. Right, I'm going to do a more complex junction here. So the one that I'm going to do for going into this station, for me, is the pinnacle of easy. Hey! New viewer plus subscriber. Fantastic, Jacko Girl. Thank you very much for your resubscription. 26 months now. That's fantastic. If you want to support the channel, it is all done through Viewer Plus. We don't have Patreon. We don't have Twitch things and all that sort of stuff. We just have Viewer Plus, which is all direct with me. You get some benefits and stuff. It's all fantastic. We've got more benefits coming next year as well. So, yes. So, when there's lots of different junctions and there's lots of different kind of bits for going in and out of stations. And if you were to rate all of them based on how easy they are versus how effective they are at like the flow of trains, for me, this is the most easiest one that's the most effective. So there's some versions of junctions that are more effective, but they're not very easy. Hey, Discount Engineer, welcome. So this is what I'm going to do. We're going to put a line going in, and we're going to pair up each platform. If you've watched any of my Season 6, you'll have seen me do this quite a lot. There we go. So we paired up each platform, and we've put a crossover in, so a train can come in and out and access either of the two platforms. So this line that we've got here, this is going to be our in-line. Trains are going to come in towards the platform, and at the moment they can only access platforms 1 and 2, right? 1. Oh, hang on. Have I got signs hidden? Oh, we want signs showing. There we go. Platform 1, platform 4. Okay, so at the minute the train can only access platform 1 and 2. So what we need is a piece of track that kind of connects the in-line up to platform 3 and 4. But we need to leave room for the platforms 1 and 2 to exit. Okay, so we're just going to put a tunnel in, because tunnels are usually, not always, usually better than bridges. So we'll put a tunnel in here, and then we'll just move this bit along over that tunnel. And there we go. We now have an entrance which splits up, and you can now access all 4 platforms. And we can actually get out of platforms 1 and 2. Now we just need to be able to get out of platforms 3 and 4, so we can come out here and join up there. So when you're doing stuff like this with the flows of in and out, it's a good idea for these areas here to be at least as long as your trains. So I'm going to put, we've got 6 length platforms, which means we can have up to 6 length trains. I'm putting a 6 length gap in there, and then I will join these 2 up here. There we go. And I'm just using the R key on the keyboard there, like we discussed earlier, to toggle between remove. I suppose I ought to talk about signals. So that is the track layout. There we go. King Assassin says, hi, YouTube. Oh, Discount Engineer. Have you seen Art of Rail coming this weekend? No, I have not. It's not something I have managed to check out at the moment. If you've got an idea for me, the only place to tell me about ideas, games you think I should look at, and all that sort of stuff is on the Discord forum. So if you go to Discord, there's a general forum, put a post in there, there's an ideas tag it as an idea, and if it's a good idea or something I think is appropriate, I'll add it to my to-do list. Signals. So signals for this one, you want one signal going in to the station block just before they split. If you put more signals, for example here and here, then a train that's at this position T will not be able... Oh, the chat's in the way. There we go. Will not be able to see which platforms are available. And it will just pathfind to the next signal. It'll know that it can go to either signal. It just can't see which ones are busy or not. It's a little bit weird with the way that trains can work out, oh, that's a valid route, but I don't know if there's a train there. So it goes through that first signal block, chooses one of these two signals, and then it has to find a platform. So if platforms 1 and 2 are taken up, it could end up just sat there waiting. So what we do is we don't have any signals after the split. There we go. And that's the way to do that bit. Timon says, is it true that longer stations make for faster loading and unloading? No, but yes. If you want the link to my Discord, it's at the bottom of the website. Just go to masterhellish.net and all the links to everything is there. In fact, I think it's in 3 different places on the website, so good luck finding all of them. And it's on Hellish Places as well. That's another place. Yes, well done, Egg. Thank you, Egg.
It needs to be a command.
What, for Discord?
Of Hellish Places.
The thing is, right, Hellish Places is just a spandangly page, right? All the links that are on Hellish Places are actually at the bottom of the website on every page. So if you want to tell somebody a link, you just give them any link to any page of the website, usually the home page, and it's all at the bottom. There's 5 little columns. It's got everything on there. If there's something you think should be linked on there and it's not, let me know. Post it on the general forum in the Discord, maybe. Okay, so we were talking about the signals here. So that's it. Because this is a terminus station, like we talked about earlier, you don't need signals on the end of the platforms. We put 1 signal for in. That's it. No more messing around with signals. And then for out, we put 1 signal. Where's my signal key? There. And 1 signal there. Where these 2 outlines merge. And then that's it. That's all the signals. We've got a 4-track station, which is really efficient, and you need 3 signals to do it. I think that's brilliant. I'm going to pause the game a second. It's because the built-in signals in the station. That's right, good moon. We talked about that earlier. So yes, the platforms can be considered as having built-in signals. You can't just rely on them for everything, but certainly for terminus stations, you just don't need one. To be fair, this is one of the few times that OpenTTD exactly mirrors the big train set where the rule is only place a signal where you actually want the train to stop. Yes, apart from like if you've got a long line and you want to put multiple trains down that line, you need lots of signals. If you're not playing OpenTTD with maintenance turned on, I would put signal space in it too. I really would, because it helps with the flow of trains. Trains can be closer together. Going down the line, you can get more throughput down your lines. Now, there was a question that I actually got distracted. Okay, so it's the loading and unloading question. Let's go Cam 2 for this one. Cam 2's working as well, which is nice. So, do longer stations make it so that you can load quicker? No. But if your train is longer than your station, it will load slower. So as long as your station is the same size or bigger than your train, doesn't make a difference. You get 100% efficient loading in terms of loading speed. It's only if you get a longer train than your station, and you really shouldn't have that. You should know that you've got X length trains, therefore your station needs to be at least that long. Should.
This is why I build all my trains the same length.
Yeah, this is why I do something similar, Brandon. And also, I might not do it all on the map the same length, but I will do them the same length within certain areas or for certain reasons. So, for example, all the passenger trains will be 1 length, maybe all the cargo trains will be another length, and then I might take an exception to that rule and say, but all the coal trains are a different length. But I'll try and keep those strict kind of policies of what ones I'm using, so I know what length trains are going where. And they'll be on different lines. Like, I like to have interconnected networks, but I'll have them on separate networks for those things. Didn't even know that longer trains could unload at shorter stations. They can, but it is horrible. It doesn't work very well at all. Okay, so we've talked about the signals for this station and we put the station in. Let's get these two things hooked up. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to unpause the game. And there we go. Now, I could have had this line coming out straight here, so they were next to each other, but I deliberately left a gap because we're going to need some depots. Should we talk about depots? What is the best, most simplest kind of depots? Oh, I've drank all my drink already. I deliberately left a bit of my mango and passion fruit flavoured water, and it's all gone. I don't know what happened. Never mind. Let's get rid of that. So, yeah, double depots, in my opinion, are the best way. Like, this is a single depot. Let's get the trees and stuff back. There's a depot. That's how most people do depots. That is wrong. Well, it's not wrong, but you can get double the efficiency just by doing that and putting a depot on the other side. If you do this and you've got path signals, you can have one train leaving that block of depots while another train is going in to that block of depots. You almost double your efficiency of the depotness. The only thing you've got to do is take away this one piece of track that I've got highlighted here. And I call it the forbidden piece. The only reason I call it the forbidden piece is to make it a little bit more dramatic so that people remember a little bit more and pay attention to a little bit more. If you don't remove that piece of track, a train that is already lost could end up just going between the two depots. We've seen it a lot of times in my Let's Plays. It just goes backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, because it's lost, doesn't know where to go, and just paths straight into the next depot. If you take that out, then the train can't do that. And because you're using one-way path signals, the only thing it can do is continue on down the line. So it doesn't stay there blocking everything. It goes down the line. Still lost. You haven't solved the lost problem, but at least you're not blocking the depots and blocking the line. And usually, not always, but usually, once it goes down the line and gets to the next junction, often it will start finding its way. So that's all good. Jim says, I had that yesterday. Yes, remove the forbidden bit of track. So at this station, I'm going to do something that I don't normally do. I am going to put the depots at the station in the station block like that. It's easy. It works. It's kind of neat. I mean, I kind of like it from a, they come this way into the station straight out the depot point of view. It's not good for efficiency. Yeah. So Timman says, when you use breakdowns, I always take the extra time and effort to get them off the line. That is another good tip. Get your trains off the main line.
Don't have them after a junction.
Well, you have them before junctions. That's another one as well. So I've actually got, if you look at my OpenTTD tutorial playlist, there is there's a whole video about I think is there the whole video about train tips. I think I've got 10 OpenTTD tips, and then I think I've got 10 OpenTTD railway tips as well. I think I've got both of them. More's planned. I'll tell you that now. More is planned for next year. But yeah, if you go and have a look at that, there is one in there that says don't have your depots after a junction. Have them before a junction. We can explain that. If somebody wants to be like, why? I don't understand. Then tell me. And we'll... Oh my goodness, my mouse acceleration. We'll check it out. Let's get some trains going, because we've lost £165,000 just chatting. Right. We're going to go new vehicles. I'm going to look through the train list. We've only got 3 trains available. And due to the fact that the Jubilee has a reliability of 51% and the A4 has a reliability of 45%, I'm going to choose the SH8P. Oh, hang on a minute. We've got some diesel trains. I didn't see them.
You have electric trains.
And electric. Well, let's have a look at the cost of electric versus the cost of diesel. So one of the best diesel trains is this Floss 47, 92% reliability. That's pretty much fine. It has a pulling power of 2,000 and a max speed of 160. But then the electric trains has a pulling power of so much more and a high speed of 177 kilometers an hour and a higher reliability. Yes, your King Assassin's like, I'm here for the trains. If you like trains, do not miss my next vlog. I went to the model railway exhibition, the national one in Birmingham, last weekend, and I took some pictures and videos, and it's all going to be in a vlog, and it's going to be coming out soon. It's on my Variety channel, and if you want the link to my Variety channel, go to the bottom of my website. It's there. How do you change the font? I've got a video about that. There is an OpenTTD spotlight video. I don't know if one of the moderators could quickly get that one and chuck it in there, because there's a couple of different ways to change the font, and really the best way is to do it in the configuration files. So yes, I have definitely got that in there. I am pretty sure it's in my... Do I have a separate playlist for my spotlight videos, or is it in with the tutorials? I think it's a separate playlist, isn't it? OpenTTD spotlights. Yes. Okay, so basically, moral of the story, get subbed to my Variety channel as well. Because compared to my gaming channel, it's tiny. Right, let's get this electric chain in there. Let's get the electric train in. Oh, we ain't got the money. Right, we're going to have to take out a loan. So we've already got £250,000 loan. I'm going to press Control and borrow. That borrows the maximum amount I can. Because if we don't get a vehicle going, we're going to have problems here. Okay, I'm going to throw a couple of mail vans on there. Maybe 3. And then chuck some passenger carriages on. I'm going to keep building it up until we get to length 6. Looks like Egg has managed to post it. Is that the exact one, Egg? I can't remember if that's got multiple topics in it or not.
Yeah, that's multiple topics.
I'm going to have a look at that. Is it a spotlight one? Oh, interface size and font settings. Yes, the answer to your question is in that video. So feel free to check that out. Right, let's get the... So once we've got a train, let's get some orders going. We're going to say we're going to go from Prunning Hall all the way up to Cam. And then it will just go back again. There we go. Should we do train watching? There we are, train watching. We'll do some train watching while I take more questions and stuff. There you are. We've got a extremely simple station, which will probably work. Hang on a minute, is it lost? Cannot reach. Ah, okay, good. This is brilliant. It's almost like I planned it. We can show troubleshooting. So you can see here that the train is going backwards and forwards between the station and the depot because it's lost. It can't reach its destination. And the best way to do that is to follow the tracks. Now, if you've put signals down the line, sometimes if you control drag the signals and the signals stop at a certain point, it's because you've missed a piece of track. Now, I already know what's wrong with this. So, does anybody else know what's wrong with this? Can we take some guesses of what we think? Why is this train lost? Joe says, I think the problem I had was putting the train in the station, but the signal was one way going into it. Oh, yes.
It's trying to go to the other station, but it can't.
Well, yes, but why can't it, Brandon?
You put signals on both sides, on the wrong side.
I think I know what you're saying, Egg. Yes. So I think Egg's got it. And also Glenn Glatz in YouTube chat. Timon says wrong signals. I'm not quite sure. I mean, the signals are right here. And the signals are right here. But we're going to have to Doctor Who the situation. No, it's nothing to do with the orders, Bobcat. Nice try. It's because the signals are on the wrong sides. Yes. So down here, I've used the UK way of doing signals, the left-hand drive. And up here, I've used right-hand drive signals. So the trains would be driving on the right, coming up here. So it's not too few signals. This network will work. Yes. So Masai has also got it as well. Signal on the wrong size. Yes. So it's nothing to do with number of signals. Nothing to do with the orders. It can very easily be resolved just by switching these signals around so that they match the polarity of the side. We've got to reverse the polarity of the signal flow. There's your Doctor Who quote of the night. And now the train's fine. There we go. That's how we get that going. And we do need more signals if we're going to have more trains on this line. At the moment, I would say this line could handle 3, maybe 4 trains relatively efficiently without more signals. You essentially could have a train at each end and then a train travelling each way, and you wouldn't need any more signals. That's actually another way to control rate, to control flow. So if you didn't want to use timetables, but you didn't want it so that you had like 7 trains going in one direction and nothing going in the other direction, just reduce the signals or have a gap in the signals. You're probably not going to want to do that late game. You're probably not want to do that late game. Right, I think we've actually, for the most part, answered a lot of, if not all of the questions. We did have some timetable questions, but I don't feel like we're quite there yet. You know what we're going to do? We're going to take a very quick break. I'm going to get a drink. We'll see you in just a couple of minutes. Pop your questions in the chat about this, and we'll see what I can come up with everything when I get back in just a couple of minutes. I'll see you soon. Welcome to our Thursday night Kerbal Space Program live Let's Play. Now, at the time of being live, we are a little later than usual. There was a delay today. We had some family time, and of course, family does come first, and we had some calls and chatted and things. Wasn't quite ready to start the stream. But once all that was wrapped up, I popped along down here, and here we are. And yes, I would do that to make this mission a success. Okay, here we go. Damn! We hit the water at about 7 meters per second and broke it. That is disappointing, to say the least. Oh no. Oh look, the helicopter. The helicopter's here to help, and the fire engines. Oh, there's 2 helicopters. This is brilliant. My fire plan is actually working. They're getting water out the river. They're putting things out. Oh, that's much better. Wasn't quite ready to start the stream. But
We disabled clips in the first place.
right, okay, folks, we are back. Let's see what we've got going on here. Freddy says, is there any way to change the keybind for remove all unpinned screens? The delete is a poor place on your keyboard. I mean, to be honest, I'd just buy a new keyboard, but I think... no, let's have a look. Let's have a look. I'm going to just go into my folders and just refresh my memory. I'm pretty sure you can do all the keybinds, but I'm not going to just say for certain. You will need to go into that OpenTTD config file. Is it? I don't think it's the config file. Isn't there a separate keybinds one? So if you are playing on Windows, if you go into your documents file, there should be a OpenTTD folder. Why am I not seeing one? Let's try again. Oh wait, there it is. Found it. I just can't spell apparently. I'm not going to show you this. I'm just going to try and find it. Yes, so it's not in the OpenTTD config. There is a hotkeys.config. Hotkeys. And I am in there now checking it. You know what I might do? I might post this somewhere. Yeah, hotkeys.config. That's the one. You quit, abandon, console, all of that stuff is in there. Toggle transparency, the chat, close news, that's global stuff. There's all the different transparency stuff in there. I suppose if I do a find for DELE, find next, delete all messages. No, that's not what I wanted. Order, delete. No, not delete order. Delete Windows, Dell. Yes, you can change it. It's part of the global section in that file that Bobcat King just said in there. So there you go. I don't think we've got a video about hotkeys. I think we mentioned hotkeys in one of the videos, but we haven't gone through the whole thing about how to do it all because, for the most part, people don't want to. There's only one custom hotkey I've got, and that is Shift A. I've got Shift A set up. So normally, if you press A, it brings up the auto tool for railways. What I've got it set up so, if you do Shift A, it brings up the auto tool for roads. Because I don't think that one is bound at all by default. You can go in there and bind it. And I chose Shift A for roads and A for railways. And to me, that's a good one. Right, our train's been going backwards and forwards for a while. It's also just going to the depot. No, it's not lost. It's just servicing. And we can see that it's actually making a decent profit. We can check the stations. And we can see that we've got a relatively good amount of passengers waiting there. We've got a lot of passengers waiting over at Carham as well. Andrew King says, wow, I've watched a bunch of your videos, but never caught you live. How fun. Never, Andrew. Never. Well, what you have to do is get your calendar / diary / little notebook out and mark down December the 17th, where we're going to have our triple OpenTTD live festive charity live stream live thing. It's going to be great. Live. We're going to have 3 games of OpenTTD. They're all going to be public games. Each one's going to have its own theme. Each one's going to have its own environment. Some of them are going to have mods, but not all of them. Anybody, as long as there's room in the game, can come along and join in to play. It's going to be great fun. We've got over £100 worth of Steam vouchers to give away, over 25 games to give away, lots of giveaways, and we're raising money. And it's brilliant. Derek says, I'm using a laptop. Is it live? Yes, it's live, Andrew. Live. Not just live, but live.
It's live.
Okay, let's get a second train. So I'm just going to go click on the depot. And something that people starting OpenTTD probably don't realise is the absolute golden value of shared orders. Oh my goodness. Like, if you're not using shared orders, learn it. I don't care if it takes you a billion years to learn. Well, actually, that's probably not really good. If it takes you quite a while to learn shared orders, it's worth it. It is absolutely and utterly worth it, and I will go over the basics of it now. So I'm going to clone this train. If I clone it without holding any buttons, we'll get another train. There's the train, blah, blah, blah. There we go. And I've cloned the train so it's got the same orders. Okay? Nothing crazy about that. But if I delete that train and clone it again whilst holding control on my keyboard, and we can see that probably on cam 2. Oh, we can't. Control's just off the edge of the camera. I'll tell you what, I will dip the camera down. You'll see my pyjamas and everything. There we go. I'm going to hold control. I'm going to hold control whilst clicking on the train, and you'll be able to see it on the screen in real time. Poof. There we go. Cam 2. Gotta love a bit of cam 2, haven't we, eh? Then when we look at the train, you'll see not only has it copied the train, copied its orders, but we also have this. End of shared orders. So now these two trains, the brand new one we've created and the one that's running, both have shared orders. So train 1 now also has end of shared orders, and that wasn't there. That wasn't there before on train 1, and it is there now. Train 1 and train 2 have one set of orders, and they're the same. If I was to come into train 1's orders and say, hey, you know what? For some weird reason, I want you to go to this station again, and click it, you see it ends up in both orders. And also there's some problems with the AI. Did I leave AI turned on, but no scripts? Oh, ignore that. That's a load of rubbish. So, and it happens in both of them. And then if I make a mistake and go, oh no, I've got the same station twice. Doesn't matter which train I do. I can pick the orders of train 2 and delete that station. And then the trains will both have the orders updated. And that's not the only advantage. Because managing trains with shared orders like that is just so much better. But also when you look at the train list, since version, I think it was 11, maybe 12, they added this group by, at the top of the vehicles menu. So you can group by shared orders. And now you can see we've got a 2 here. That's not train number 2. That's 2 trains. And if you look very closely, there's actually 2 train engines just there. And you can see that it sums up all the profits of those trains. Yes, excitement. I wouldn't call that excessive, Useg. Maybe we'll see how it goes. But you get the profit and how much money they made last year here as one lump sum. That's both trains there. Despite the fact that train 2 is still inside the depot and doing absolutely nothing. So let's undo that. Let's tell the train to get going. Or as I say, unstop. I don't know why I don't say go. The number of times I say unstop, but I don't say go, it's ridiculous. 69 viewers, everybody! Nice. Now, I'm just having, at the time of this being live, some of you are watching live, some of you will watch afterwards. I've got the Yogscast Jingle Jam on my other screen. They're playing OpenTTD. Overall, they're not doing too bad this time. Well, it depends. Like, if you're talking OpenTTD Pro, you might say that they're doing it poorly. But if you were saying that they were new guys at OpenTTD, then they're doing good. There's a lot of things that they're doing well. I mean, it's like a slideshow for me because I've got the frame rate down and it's terrible. So there we go. That is shared orders, and I tell you something, it is an absolute brilliant thing to do. So if you, especially later on in your networks, should we put a third one on here? What should we do next? What do you want to see next, folks? We've got a basic line up and running with 2 different station designs, a very basic one, and we've got a more advanced one, which is really good. I suppose one of the things we should do is actually put signals between the 2, in case we want to add more trains. And I talked about this earlier on, and to place signals all the way down the line, I'm going to press A for the auto tool, which brings up the railway construction. Once you're in railway construction, I can press S for signals. If I just press S, nothing happens. You have to have the railway section open first. I can't remember that. There is a shortcut, I think. I think it's one of the F keys to open up the railway tools. But if you just press A, it brings up the auto tool anyway. So if you want signals, A, then S. And if we click and drag on a signal, you can see that it then places more signals. Okay, so we can click and drag. And if we put a signal here, we can click and drag, and it keeps placing signals at the interval described in the signal selection screen. Okay. Now, some people say, where's all the other signals? Because they remember a day of OpenTTD when there were more types. Well, if you press this, where is it? There's a button for them. Have they removed the button to switch it?
It's top right. It's the little box.
Oh, it's the little box, yes. So if you press the little box, then you can see the other types of signals. You don't need them. Not unless you're doing really complicated things like priority merges and stuff. You don't need them. Some people think that they using path signals all over your network slows your game down. I've never seen any evidence of that at all. It's all just conjecture and rumour. Now, you could drag along your line like that, going all the way along. Or you could hold control and drag. And it does it all the way down the line. It does all the way down the line until it gets to any sort of junction. So in this case, until it gets to these depots. Which is brilliant. There we go. Fantastic. Right, what questions have we got? Let's have a look. Brandon says, which is you, what would be better, small junction or a junction that has enough room for your train lengths for the trains on each turn? I'd say it depends on how busy your network is. If you've just got a bit of your network which it's kind of, you've got a couple of stations going to a couple of coal mines and they're just coming together to go down to another main line or something, I'd just do a small junction. I'd just connect it up right there. Just because the amount of trains you're probably going to be having on that line will never really cause any sort of significant slowdown. But if you've got any sort of main line, it is usually best to have enough room on the junction for a train to be waiting. I think I'm going to have to demonstrate this, aren't I? Was that a loaded question, Brandon?
No, I just like being efficient with my junctions so that a train is not turning 2 corners at once.
Okay, there is that, but there is another reason, and it's actually more important than that. So here we've got, let's see, let's take this line here. So we've got a train line where trains are going to be coming in. So I will label that with an I for in. I'll also change the transparency settings and lock it. By the way, there we go. There's another tip for you. Transparency settings can be got to via Control and X, and you can lock certain transparency options. So, for example, I just locked the sign. So it's got a little padlock on it. So when I press X and toggle it, it doesn't change. If I hold Control and click the sign, then when I press X, it will toggle with the rest. So you can actually lock certain things, which I find brilliant. Anyway, there we go. So I've got there. So that's the in. I don't know why I just put I. Lazy to put the letter I and not a 2-letter word of in. So there we go. So that's the line where we're coming into the junction. So from here, we could turn left to go down the line there, or we could, well, actually, from the train's perspective, that's right. And then from the train's perspective, we could turn left. I'm going to ignore this other bit of line. We would normally connect that up as well. So let's say you had a train waiting at this point here, where I'm just going to put this little bit of cross track. And the train wanted to turn right, but couldn't because the line was busy or blocked. If there was a train behind it that wanted to go straight on or left or something, there's nothing you could do. Or if a train had broken down and it couldn't turn, just like we've got one there. I'll speak about the signals a little bit in a moment. The reason why you want to leave a train length, for example, like this instead, so if I just get rid of that, yeah, we'll demo it like that. If a train was now coming down the line at point number 1, got to point number 1 here, and it wanted to turn right, it can do. It can come down the line and it can go up to point number 2. That's the wrong sign. And if the main line that it's turning onto is busy because there's too many trains or it's broken down, it can sit and wait at that signal until it can get on the main line. As long as this section is long enough, which I think in this example maybe isn't quite, then the train behind it can come from point number 1 and can continue down to point number 3 and go in a different direction. So if there's a slowdown for some particular direction at a junction, it's nice to have your junctions so that trains can wait within the junction blocks. Does that make sense? I think it did. I mean, I know there's no trains on the screen, so that makes it a bit more difficult. I'll say it one more time. If a train is coming down the line from point number 1 and it wants to turn right, it will come down this side track and wait at signal 2 until it can enter the main line. If it can't enter the main line, it will sit and stay at signal 2. But as long as this diagonal is long enough, another train coming from the direction of 1 can continue down past point number 3 and go the other way without it being blocked. If you didn't have this diagonal this long and you just had a short junction like this, then the train would be waiting at point 3 and the train behind it would be stuck. Yeah, I think I described that relatively well. And if you didn't understand that, then I don't know what to say. Maybe it's a too advanced topic for your level. Right, a difference between path and a regular signal. I will not go into high detail because, for a start, you can read the descriptions. Okay? But also, you can look in the manual for Transport Tycoon. I think some of them are in there. But also, I did a tutorial video about it. But the main thing that you need to remember about standard block signals compared to path signals, so for example between these two, is that a path signal will let a train enter a block even if there's another train in that block, as long as the route that the train wants to take is clear. Jackamac, thanks for coming by. We'll see you soon. So, if you're using a standard block signal and a train wants to enter a block, but there's another train in that block, it won't enter that block at all, even if the route it wants to take through that block is not impeded by the train within in the block. I think I did that okay. I'll quickly just say that one more time and try and articulate it well. So with a standard block signal, a train will not enter the block in front of the signal if there is a train anywhere in that block, whether it can get a free path through on the track or not. With a path signal, a train will enter the block as long as there is a path available. And there is an option in the game settings to show path reserved tracks. So if we turn that on, you don't see it very well. It's like a shaded area in front of the train. Look, there you got a shaded piece of track. And then you see, once it goes through that signal, it's reserved that section. So path signals will reserve sections of track. And as long as a train is not going to intersect with a reserved piece of path, then it works. So basically, just use path signals. There we go.
There's no reason not to.
There's no reason not to use path signals. Are you doing a priority merge? No. Are you doing something more complicated than that? No. Use path signals. We should create a flow diagram where just all the options, like it splits out from the top, and there's like loads of different options, and at the bottom they all just point down to use path signals.
Yeah, there's 90% reason to use path signals.
I would say more than 90, Brandon. I would say more than 90. Right, what should we do? Should we try and do some timetables? So a block signal treats the railway junction like a yellow box road junction, not letting you in if there's anything else there.
Yes.
Yeah. Not letting you in if there's anything else there. Where a path signal will go, well, actually, you can get through there, mate. Go on, you're all right.
Interestingly, Factorio signals are block signals, not path signals.
Is that with the use of chain? No, let's not go down that route. Well, let's not go down that route. If I do a Factorio series or if I do a Factorio tutorial, then we'll see about that.
Chain.
Okay, right. Right, we need to find a massive city because we're going to try and do some timetabling. I think we have a viable company though at the moment. We were talking about the delete key to close things that aren't pinned. So if I have a few things open and I pin one, I can press delete to close everything except the thing that's pinned. If you do shift delete, it closes even the pinned ones. Nothing can survive the shift delete. Okay, town directory. Let's find a big one. Biggest town, Tarninghead. Fantastic. I'm going to turn it transparent so we can see what we're doing. I'm going to use road vehicles just because it's a little bit easier to visualize in a small space. So, going to put some bus stations in. That was a terrible placement of a bus station. That is a very bad placement of a bus station. Let's blow it up. Okay, let's put one in here. There we go. So we've got our bus stations in. Let's get a bus depot. Put it over there. There we go. Right, have we got any more questions? At Prunning Hall, would that depot on the right actually ever be used? You think that maybe path waiting would always prefer the left one? Even if path waiting was always preferring the left one, if the left one was busy, then the other one would get used. So I can see what you're saying, but yeah, I mean it's more there just to make the station symmetrical than anything else. Okay, so let's get some road vehicles going. How many should we do? 4? I think it might be nice to see 4 doing the...
4's good.
Yeah, okay. We'll get 1 going to begin with. And we'll give it the orders. We'll go round in a nice little loop. And then we're going to use shared orders. So I will press my... Should we watch me on cam 2? Cam 2. Holding control with these shared orders right there at the bottom of the screen. Clone vehicle. Here's the vehicle on the screen. Holding control. There we go. For their shared orders.
Are you using default road layout?
A lot of the settings are default. Whenever, especially when I do tutorials, and especially these days, I try and use everything as default as possible. There's some things that I don't change, like 90-degree turns and stuff, because I'm so against them. But sometime early next year, I'm going to be bringing out a video which tells you all the game settings I have which are not default. Basically, settings you should consider changing in OpenTTD before playing. It's like, I could probably use one of those clickbait thumbnails, like, 10 settings you must change in OpenTTD before you play.
Like 90-degree turns.
Like 90-degree turns. I mean, there's a very easy way to see it. If you go into the settings, there is a filter. Is it category? Yeah, category. Settings with a different value than the default. And there you are. There's all of my current settings that are not the same as the default. It's a very easy way to see what you've changed. So autosave is currently set to every 6 months. The default is every month. There you go. But I'll make a video about that and talk about why as well. Can you build priority merges? Oh my god, Arnold. I don't use them, so I'm really rusty. I've done it before. If you look at my main OpenTTD tutorial, so there's a playlist on my YouTube channel. There is a video by, I think it's Lugnuts, at the end of my series, and they go into how to do priority merges. And their video is quite good, and I felt that I wouldn't really have a lot more to add, so I just put their video on the end of my series. With their permission, of course. I did actually contact them. I was like, hey, do you mind if I put your video in my tutorial series? And they were like, no, that's cool.
Ooh. You know the control delete thing?
Shift delete?
Yeah. I just learned that if you control click the pinned button, it will set that as the default for whenever you open that window again.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of things like that. So like, if I open the train window now, you can see it's pinned because I just control clicked it. So if I open the train window, it's pinned, it's pinned, it's pinned. If I control click that and get rid of it and reopen it, then it won't be pinned. And the ones that I usually like to have is the station list. You see, I've got the station list out and it's auto pinned because very often I'll bring the station list out and I'll be looking at different things. I'll clear the screen. I'll still want the station list there. It's a good one to pin. Yeah. Symmetry is nice. I was just thinking that the exit being a 90-degree turn from the right of the depot. Yeah, so basically the train would enter the depot, then go into the platform. Or it would use the alternate depot, depending on whether it was coming in or out. There's basically one depot that would hardly be used in that design. That's correct. I mean, I don't normally use that design anymore. Let's get these road vehicles going. So I've got these road vehicles, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the road vehicle. Oh, God, it's been a while since I've timetabled. It's not very useful. It's not very useful. Okay, so if we go into the orders, there's this button at the top here, timetable. You know what else? While we're talking about Windows and pressing control and stuff, there's this square button here. It says resize window to default size. Control click to keep the current size as default. So if you wanted your station list to be really long every time you opened it, you could control click. Well, actually, I'll demonstrate not control clicking. Standard click would just resize the window back to the size that it was to default. But if you want to make sure your list was long every time, you can control click that. And then if you ever change the size of it and then set it back to default, it will go back to that long list. So not only can you default whether it's pinned or not, you can actually default the size of the window as well, which is really good. Okay, so you can see we've got a timetable window here. There are a couple of different ways to do this, but I'm only going to show you the autofill way. let me try and remember how this works. So we click autofill and start the vehicles going. There we go. And away the vehicles go. What we might do is actually just keep an eye on road vehicle number 1. And we'll keep an eye on road vehicle number 1's orders. And it's time. We'll put the timetable down here. Right. Whilst that's going round, you will see that it will start populating. You see the first bit there says, and stay for 1 day. So this is the way to get a timetable populated. You could go through and manually change all of these different travel times and stop times. But you would have to know how long it was going to take the vehicle in in-game days and all sorts to be able to do that. So you can see there, it just made its next stop, and it now says travel for 13 days. Autofill is really the best way to start, in my opinion. Use the autofill and then tweak it if you want to. So we're going to let that fill. Let's see, what are the Yogscast up to at the moment? Okay, so they're building all sorts of things. They've got maglev lines going. Looks like one person's trying to go from one end of the map to the other. They're probably going to bankrupt themselves.
That will probably seem unprofitable.
A lot of it is also bridges, and it looks like a single line as well.
I learned something about maglev the other day. Is that the efficient distance for maglev is longer than the map size can possibly be.
I think the current map size in the base game is 4K, right?
4K by 4K.
Yeah, 4,000. Yeah, I mean, the efficiency kind of... There's websites out there which will help you calculate based on the train that you're using, on the type of track, with the length of train, like how far that train should really take its goods to get its optimal profit. It's crazy. Right, here we go. So it looks like we're almost finished on the timetabling. And there you go. It just finished its first run, and it's put in the various different timetables there. Now, it's just going to go and do it. And because these other vehicles have shared orders, you can see that their timetable has been set up similar as well. You could just leave this, and they would just keep going around and be timetabled like that. You can see all of these have gone red now because they're out of date and they're behind schedule and all that sort of stuff. But you can actually then get them to stagger out by setting a start date. So what we're going to do is we're going to tweak this first. I'm going to look down the list and I'm going to say, right, out of all of these, the maximum travel time is 15 days. So I'm actually going to change these so that all of them is 15 days. Right? So that every journey, no matter how long it is in this city, is allocated up to 15 days. And all of these have got a stay for one day. If we had a full load order at one of the stations, maybe that would be much longer. Now, this start date feature sometimes confuses people. This kind of resets the timetable and gets it going again. If you control click it, it sets the starting point of this timetable and then distributes all the vehicles on the shared orders evenly based on the relative orders on the timetable. Okay, so this is another reason why you use shared orders. If you're not using shared orders, timetables get even more difficult because you have to manually do everything to every vehicle. If not, you are good. Now, it's also the reason why I chose to have 4 vehicles and 4 stations, because it also makes it nice and easy. Now, when you do this, you have to make sure your start date is in the future, because if I chose like November the 6th, I go to type it in and now it's November the 7th, it's going to mess up the timetabling already. So let's control click start date. We're going to go all the way to December the 1st, 1978 and set the date. And you can see that there, the orders have cleared out. Okay, so it says timetable will start. So at the minute, there's no particular dates for this. They're all just going around and doing their orders. It's now the 18th of November. And whilst it's doing that, I'll see if I can take any questions. To the previous sharing destination orders, you can click go to and control click on any other vehicle you want shared orders from. Yes, so Freddie, that is a good point. I was cloning vehicles and holding control to create a vehicle with shared orders. If you already create a vehicle but then want to give it shared orders, you can, like Freddie says, click a vehicle, holding control, and it will populate your current vehicle with the orders of that vehicle and share the orders. If you don't hold control, it will just take the orders from the vehicle you're clicking and it won't do shared orders. Right, so let's have a look. So what's going on here? So the timetable should have started. Let's have a look at one of the others. That's the wrong button. And it looks like... Is it working? Is it going to the right place? I think it's trying to get back round to the beginning again. So, I don't know if it's going to be late when it gets there, but I think it's because it has to get round to the beginning of the list for it all to work. He will be late. Yes, he will be late, Tinman. Just like, like Brandon said, just like all the UK buses. When I came back from Birmingham on my journey, actually, let's talk about on the way. On the way to Birmingham, I took 3 different trains. Every single train was around 2 to 3 minutes late. And on the way back, 2 of my trains were so full, I couldn't get on them. I had to take the next train. And my last train was so terrible, it was going down the road because it was a bus replacement service. I felt like giving them a money replacement service. I give them an IOU instead of money. Anyway. Oh, hang on. Yeah, we're getting some AI problems, but we don't care about that. Right, so our bus is just about to go to the first place, and there you go. There we go. The bus is in. And it's starting its orders. It's going the arrive, depart, arrive, depart, depart. So there we go. Now, it's currently saying the vehicle is 51 days late, but that's not really a problem because we changed those travel times, and that adds contingency in a number of days. So we'll see now that it'll be waiting in the schedule until it can leave ready for the next 15 days. So it'll actually hang around at this bus station for a little while. Although because it's running late, it probably won't hang around very long and get going straight away. If it wasn't running late, then it would just go straight away. So you can see we're now 49 days late. Also, the second vehicle, which may or may not be that one, has had its... I keep pressing the wrong one. Its timetable populated. And what it does is that if there's 4 vehicles in the timetable, it will divide the total number of days in that timetable by 4 and then offset the start day of the first vehicle by that number of days, and that will be the start for the second vehicle. So it's spacing them out. Ren says, my buses always stack up, mostly trying to fix with timetables, but that's most of the time unsuccessful. Why are your buses stacking up, Rens? Are they stacking up just because it's really busy, or are they stacking up because there's not enough goods to pick up? In your case, people. Let's get rid of that. You need to make the days at the stop 2, or they won't to load properly. Maybe I will make them 2. But here you can see now that our vehicle... Oh, wrong screen again. I always press the wrong one for the timetable. It's currently 48 days late, and it says it takes 64 days for the timetable to complete. Now, if we fast forward for a little while, it's down to 45 days late. What was it? I can't remember now. Maybe we need to give it more days. I kind of want to fast forward a little bit more and see what happens. Yeah, okay. So somewhere along the line, we're not giving the vehicle enough time to travel around. Let's change it so that we give them more waiting time at the station. I can't actually. I think I gave in some of them. I gave it so that there was 5 days waiting, but I'm not going to do it on 5 days. We'll have it at 3 days.
I think timetables are way too much effort for what they're worth for me.
Oh yeah, the number of people that try to do timetables, and I'm like, that's not the reason to use timetables. Is let's like for example, if you've got a bus station and it's just stacking up with buses because you've got them on full loader and there's not enough people, then the problem isn't that you've not using timetables to fix it. The problem is that you have either too many vehicles or you shouldn't be using full load. Right, okay, so I've changed it now to allow more travel time and more loading and unloading time. And we're currently 43 days late. If we fast forward, look, we're down to 8 days late now. Okay, so they're catching up. We've added some contingency into the timetable. So it is important to add contingencies into the timetables. Okay, let's do a little bit more fast forwarding. And there you go. It's pretty much on time all the time. And if you look at this, once all the vehicles are on time, you should see them all leave the stations at the same time. So let's see if that actually happens now. So you can see that all the vehicles that are on time are currently just waiting at the bus stations. And then all of a sudden, they'll all leave the bus stations and start moving and doing their journeys. Loathe timetables, adopted conditional orders for your buses. Yeah, I'm turning into a broken record. Yeah, I mean, conditional orders, they're really good.
Is that like, if this, then go here?
Pretty much, yes.
Ooh.
Yes, that's another one on the list of videos I need to make for the tutorials. Let me have a look. Where's my list gone? You know, I might just close the Yozcast. I think they're having a race.
They are. They're going from one edge to the other edge.
Yeah, Duncan and Spiff are having a race from one side of the world to the other using monorail.
No, that's MacLeod.
Oh, using MacLeod, yeah. According to this, they've lost 7,000 viewers since starting to play OpenTTD. have we gained 7,000 viewers? Let's have a look. No, not quite.
Nice,
I'm going to close their stream for now because it is lagging that a little bit on my side. Let me just check my list of stuff I need to do on the tutorials. So I'm going to update the how to play multiplayer tutorial. I've got another video for 10 more train and railway tips. Conditional orders and furs. They're on there. So I think what we'll do... So I think I've demonstrated that timetables are a bit finicky, but also don't really have a lot of purpose. Using the autofill is the way forward to begin with. And then, actually, because I've changed the times, it might be worth me actually redoing the start date. So I'm going to do that. So we're in September now. I suppose I could just pause the game. That would help. Let's do September 20th. Set the date. I can't remember if I held control, so I'm going to do it again. There we go. And if we fast forward now, we should see all the road vehicles sat at the depots. And as long as they're not late, which that one's running on time. Is that one running on time as well? Oh, no, wrong button. Timetable. Yeah, that one's running on time as well. They should pretty much all move about the city at the same time. Get to their destination, do their days loading and unloading, and then they'll all move again. So you can see that they're all just sat there, loading and unloading, and then at pretty much the same time, as long as they're all on time, they'll all leave the depot, the stations at the same time. There we go. So we can see all 4 of them now. Get rid of the AI warnings because we're not using that today. Get rid of the end of year financial summary because I don't care about money. There we go. All the road vehicles started moving then. I found out a piece of information that I looked at and I was like, that can't be right, can it? And I need to double check it. But if what I looked at, because it's getting close to the end of the year, I need to check to make sure I've done my taxes and stuff. But I think we've actually raised more money for charity than I've ever had as profit in the nearly 10 years I've been doing content creation. Which, to be honest, I'm quite happy with that. It doesn't bother me. Right. What we got in the chat here? Oh no, your uncle called and you missed the stream. Well, the good news is you can rewatch the stream on YouTube. It will be available. It is also available on Twitch. But I would watch it on YouTube because I think the quality is better. Right, so we've demonstrated some railway lines, some signals. I've lost it, but it is somewhere on this map. I think it's over... Yeah, there we go. We've got a really good junction design here, and we've got a very basic one which works, especially if it's not busy. If you get something that's busy, then that's going to be no good. We've demonstrated road vehicle timetables. What else are we going to do? What else can we do? Let's have a look. One of the first questions was how to delete the timetables. That is a good question. Should we try it? This town looks completely different with the transparency settings changed. So if we go into timetables, you just do clear time and then that's it. Done. I mean, it'll break it.
Ah, yes, clear time.
You just said clear the time. Clear. Clear. It just says not timetabled. Not timetabled. Not timetabled. Not timetabled. Not timetabled. And there you go. Oh, 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 oh. Are we still on autofill or something? Not timetabled. Not timetabled. Oh, there we go. I'm not sure if the autofill clear changed. Clear. Delete the vehicles. What? I can't. I'm sure if you just clear the time. Oh, hang on. What's this? Show the vehicles that share the manage list. Send for depot. No, we don't want to do that. Timetable. There's the shared bit. I wonder. It's like it's auto-filling, but I don't want it to auto-fill. I'm sure I've done this before.
Is autofill a toggle?
It doesn't look like it. Fill the timetable automatically with the next values. Control-click to try and keep the waiting time. No, it's stopped. It's doing it all the time. That is a good question. I've never had that problem before.
Is it?
There we go. I don't
It's
know.
not timetabled.
You what?
It's not keeping to the timetable.
I don't think it is keeping to the time. I don't think it is.
Maybe it's because the buses are arriving at stations and auto-filling in the timetable.
I think it's auto-filling it, but it's not actually timetabled because the dates aren't there.
Yeah.
So this is all the implicit information, but it's not actually timetabled. It just looks like it might be. Yeah, look. Stay for 3 days, not timetabled. For 11 days, not timetabled. So even though it's filling this information in, it's not timetabled. There we are. I'm happy with that.
I'd be really annoyed if my bus took 15 days to go a stop.
I would as well. Like, especially just from one end of the same city to another. Yeah. But it is crazy. Yeah, it's just... Yeah, there we go. So, Meowie Kitty says, the info just shows the implicit info, not the active information, thus not timetabled as the info. So, yeah, there we go. It's the same as what I think we just said. There you are. They're not timetabled anymore. They're just going to go around randomly. Right. What should we do? Do we have any more questions? Anybody want me to demonstrate anything? What we got going? Look at that island.
Someone asked...
You what, Brandon?
Someone asked something about... do trucks use multiple lanes if it's one way?
One-way road. I don't think they do. I think it's rubbish.
So I know they will overtake.
I've seen them overtake, yes. Do they overtake on normal ones? That's what I think. If we go to
Yeah, they do overtake on normal ones.
yeah, I think they overtake on normal ones anyway. Where's season 9? Parent directory, live let's plays. Was it season 9? I've got a funny feeling it was season 8. Let's have a look. Ah, ha ha! We've got some examples. Oh, the scene didn't change. There we go. So here, from season 8, we've got some one-way roads, and you can see that all these vehicles are here. If I stop one, then the rest queue up behind it, and they don't just go straight round it very easily. There's a broken down one here. Now, I've seen it where a slow one has been overtaken by a faster one, but if they break down, they just seem to stop. And I don't know if that's because they're too close to be able to get round.
I've definitely seen trucks overtake, but it might have been on regular roads rather than one way, which makes no sense.
Yeah. There's the magic roundabout. This is actually what Fed was talking about in chat. Season 8. This was fun doing this. This was very fun. It's a nice roundabout, actually. It works surprisingly well. Like, there is very little queuing and slowing down apart from where we're loading here. You can see all the buses there are all going on the same side of the road. This section here is actually dual, so it's bi-directional. That section isn't. Yes, vehicle overtaking is the reason why you can't play the game without patches. Yeah, it would be nice if they did overtake nicely, especially when they brake. Like here, look. You've just got a big long line of vehicles when you're braking down. But I don't know. Feels like they should. What are your thoughts on the Yogscast setup at the minute? I haven't been concentrating on the Yogscast setup. I've even lost the link. Let me see if I can reload the page. There we go. I'm going to bring it in front. Oh, I've got an advert, of course. I'll have a quick look. I'll have a quick look at the Yogscast setup again. As a general rule, I feel like there's a lot of things they could improve. They're not doing terrible. They're not doing terrible, but there's a lot of things they could improve.
Or just messing about sort of stream.
Yeah. I mean, it does seem to devolve into... Oh, you know what? I didn't save that, what I was just doing. The tutorial bits. I just exited and went back to the main menu. I mean, I can regenerate one, but it's not going to be the same. So there we go. I'm gonna build some stuff. And when we'll get some more questions coming in, probably. Right, here we go. Right, train stations. Let's do some tiny train stations for a change. Let's do something like this. What's that? There we go. I'm going to do like a light railway. Ooh, I didn't see that building there, but we can get round it. No 90-degree turns in this game because I've turned them off.
A Roro is always worth it.
Sorry?
A Roro is always worth it, right?
I wouldn't always say that. No.
Because it just
I have the autosaves. That's a good point. I do have the autosaves. Teaches how to recover from an autosave. Yeah, go on then. Okay, so you go load game. You go into the autosave directory, and there they all are. And then you can see the current start dates. The current date and the start date. So it looks like they're in order of... Yeah, they are. They're in order of date. So that's 1980, 1980, 1979. So yeah, basically the autosaves rotate round. So you've got 16 slots, and every every so often, depending on what you've got it set up in your game settings, it will go through those different slots. So every 6 months. So we can go back to January 1981 in the game saves. Let's do that. There you go. And I can't remember if it was before or after I don't know if it's before or after I wrecked the timetable. Oh, it was before I wrecked the timetable. There we go. We can pretend everything's fine. Let's find a place to build more stuff. Here we go. Yep, the top one was the last one, yeah.
That's a setting I usually change.
What, the autosave interval?
Yeah, it default to a month, and it can just lag out multiplayer games.
Yeah, it can cause problems with multiplayer games. Can I get a tunnel in here? Yes. Whoa, mouse cursor. I think that's something that the devs need to look into. I don't ever remember older versions of OpenTTD having this problem with the... Like, if you scroll around gently, it scrolls around fine. But if you do any sort of sudden movement, all of a sudden it just jumps. Like that. Oh, Egg's got to get going. Hi, okay, Egg. Thank you very much for coming by.
That is strange.
Yeah, it is very strange. And I don't ever remember it being like that in the
There's
old
some
days.
sort of innate mouse accelerations for when you're scrolling for a while.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know whether it's to do with like my Windows settings or stuff like that, but it definitely is a problem, and I don't feel like it used to be a problem. Right, I'm just doing a small light railway because why not? This is something that I don't very often do in my Let's Plays. The reason why I don't very often do it is because you don't make a lot of money out of it. It can be a relatively good starting thing to do. I am also going through a lot of farmland, which is not a good starting thing to do. There we go. But because you can hit multiple cities with one relatively small piece of track, you can get a lot of passengers moved early game, which is nice. There we go. Feels like a problem with the mouse acceleration. I think so too, but I think like the game should be able to cope with it. It's like a modern thing that happens on a lot of stuff. Okay, I'm going to use this diesel train just because it's that type of train. We'll put a couple of carriages in the middle. What do you call a train that's like got a front and a back bit? It's got a special name, hasn't it? I can't remember. Maybe somebody in the chat knows. How did you not think of tunnels under cities? Tunnels under cities can be amazing. There we go.
Metros would be great in OpenTTD, but you can't have like rail underground.
This is the closest you can get to a metro. Is to actually have the stations pop up like this. Diesel multiple unit, DMU. That's what I was looking for. See, I knew somebody in chat would have the answer. I knew it. Okay, it looks like they're now putting giant sprites onto the ground, which are cats.
Yes, from the Giant Cats mod.
Giant Cats mod. There you go, folks. The mod that every OpenTTD player needs. Giant Cats.
I was wondering how they did it so I can mod other things as sprites like that.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be quite nice to have like a hellish logo you can place down. So yeah, we've got some good placement here. Like, look at the coverage area of this particular station. Like, it gets right into most of the town there. Whoa, mouse acceleration. There's another one here. It's got relatively good coverage. Probably would have been better 2 squares further down, because then I would have had all of these over here as well. And I've just got green grass at the back. But we're going to start having passengers stack up.
You can always cheese.
Yeah. If you're planning on building growing a city a lot, and I mean a lot, you can get in, say, let me find a relatively good example. Yeah, you can do something like this, and then get your relatively large station, so maybe like 4x6, put your station in, and then do down bits, and then look at the coverage of the station and be like, okay, well, if there were buildings here, that counts towards the coverage. So then we'll tunnel down here. I suppose you could really do it like this, because they will still build buildings on a slant. And then put your tunnels in. Just do a piece of track going down, and then whatever junction you would have normally have done here. Which may have been... I mean, you may have to come back up again. Depends if you decide to come back up or stay down. You may do a really nice junction. You may decide to just do one of these simple ones, which the throughput at the beginning of the game will be fine. Let's get rid of that. Let's clean this up. There you go. Like this. You may decide to do it like this. But you can see how by putting tunnels in, you allow the city later to be able to build that. Actually, the town won't be able to build on top of these tunnel bits, so you will actually need to move that up a long one. But what the kind of the principle of what I was saying still stands. That you allow more space around your station for the town to build buildings. The more buildings in your coverage, the more stuff. There you go. That's a good way of getting more coverage in without really cheating too much. I was going to do a video about things that are a bit cheaty, but aren't actually cheating. Yes, they don't build on the tunnel exits there, so that's why I moved it. One of the examples of cheating, in my opinion, is using spread stations. So if you build your one-track platform station out here, and then you go and say, oh wow, I just really need a bus station over here, and you make it a spread station like this by holding control. Yeah. So then you can see that if you look at the coverage of this station, it isn't just where the railway station is, it's also where the bus station is, and you just get all of those people going to that passenger station. I wish there was a way for them to dev this so that you couldn't do it, but spread stations were still in the game.
I thought there was a setting where they had to be attached.
Yeah, but even then, I still think there's some situations where a spread station makes sense. For example, you may want a station that straddles an industry. For some reason. Like, you may want... maybe that's a bad example. But maybe you've got a factory, and for some reason you haven't got room on one side, but you've got a little bit of room on the other. So you might go, actually, I want one station here, and we've got flat land. But then I want some more platforms of the same station over here, and then you build them as a spread station, and then you're okay. So there are places where doing spread stations is very useful. Maybe you're doing a multiplayer game, and you want to be able to fit something in somewhere, and you can't quite get it in because there's other players around and you want to leave room for each other. Sometimes a spread station will work and will help you out. Maybe you have one platform really close and a couple of platforms further away. Maybe the spread station needs to be within the coverage of the first station, says Fed.
Good idea.
That could be a way of doing it.
It's usually 12 though.
It's station spread, so it's within the spread. The default is 12. I've got mine set to 12 as well. As long as it's within that distance, it will do it. So if I count out, I use some track to count. That's 13 to the edge of the city there. So if I try building a bus station there and hold control, it doesn't come up in the list of options because it's too far away. If I come one square closer, then it's in the list of options. Glenagalt says, it doesn't feel cheaty to me. It's the equivalent of in real life offering a free shuttle between the terminals and the airport. You gain a bigger catchment for losing a short journey. A ticket income. Yes, but you should have to have a bus going backwards and forwards for it to work. That's the way they could do it. That's the way they could do it. A station which is a spread station but not connected requires a shuttle to be going backwards and forwards for the cargo to be transferred. But you don't actually have to, like, that's all done in the background. Like, it doesn't, you don't actually see the cargo moving from one place to another. It just appears in the spread station. As long as you have a vehicle going backwards and forwards between us, then that area of coverage is active.
What if your spread station is a train station, since the train station covers more catchment area?
Yeah, it'd be fine as long as you've got a bus going backwards and forwards. I don't know. But then you can just leapfrog them, stretching as far as can. Yeah, I mean, there's other slightly less cheaty things you can do to improve coverage and stuff. So let me see if I can find a good example. If you've got a town with a relatively flat edge, which we won't have much of as we're playing the games, they tend to just spread out in the circles. So it's going to be difficult for me to find an example. You get more of these earlier on. There's a relatively good example, Darnpool. So if you were putting a station in and you were going to put your 2-track platform length, 4-length station in, and you wanted to put it here, you could do that, and you can see with the coverage, if I put it one more square this way, then you are wasting coverage at the top of the town there. You may as well bring it down one. You can still see there's some back parts of the town there that haven't got the coverage. What you could do is, even if you're using 4-length trains, just have a 6-length station. You get more coverage. Okay, you've got smaller trains going into the station and you're not using the entire station, but what does that matter? You get bigger coverage. Just have a massively long station for your tiny trains. Like this. And you get big coverage. Send your tiny trains into a massive station.
That's silly. I like it.
It is silly. But it works.
It's also more expensive.
It's more expensive to build the station. But if you're not early game, it's a good way of getting a big coverage. Look at the size of that coverage there. Compared to the station that you might have built on the other side if you were just having some small trains going around. Like this. So look at the coverage of that one. Where you're missing some of the buildings at one end of the city and you're missing some of the buildings at the other end of the city, compared to this one where you've got much longer coverage. So the distance out from the station is always the same distance. You always get 4 out, but the longer the station, there you go. You would need to walk around the entire town to get to the ticket booth. Yeah, you probably would. But basically what I'm saying is that sometimes bigger stations get you an advantage just because you're using big stations. No other reason. Some people do it. I've seen it done. It's not something I normally do, but I would consider it legal in a multiplayer game. I would not say that people couldn't do it. I just consider it a little bit cheaty. Would you let the trains stop at the far end, near end, or middle in a bigger station? To be honest, Timman, I would set them to go to the middle of the station because I think that would look best. What GFX file would you use to make everything so smooth? What do you mean? Look smooth? Do you mean graphics?
I think they're asking what do we use, but we use the default, right?
This is default. This is the open graphics. You might be using... Oh, I don't think I can change it mid-game, so let's save it. Oh, hey, I'm saving it! This is going to be... Look at all these terrible saves I've got in here. 2022 live tutorial. That'll do. So, yeah, I've got the open graphics here. There is A-Base, Z-Base, and Night that I've got as well.
Oh, I do like Night. I wouldn't use it as like my standard, but it's nice to see like mid game.
Yeah, it is. It's difficult to build in my opinion. So if I do abandon game options, and I think if you change it here and then load the game, it might be all right. I don't think it remembers this. Yeah, there you go. It doesn't remember the settings. So whilst you can't change it in the game, you can change it out and switch back. So you can see, it does actually help you see signals. And I like how the electrical trains have that little electrical kind of power line spark every now and then. The carriages are lit up, and you've got the street lights in the town. And if you haven't got the town's buildings hidden, you get all the different lights from the buildings is there, so it's really nice. But for me, it just makes it difficult for building. It's really nice. You can stop a vehicle by control clicking on them from the map. Wow, okay. I mean, yeah, just stop, start. I mean, if there's going to be a train, it's going to crash. You can just control click on it. It's a good way of doing it. In OpenTTD, for some things, there's more than one way of doing it. There is. But if we just abandon this quickly...
Pretty well-coded game.
Yeah, it is. One of the reasons is how long ago it was. We switched to Z-based. This is a 32-bit graphics. Some people madly prefer this. Some people madly hate this. And I sit between the two. There's some things about it I love. There's some things I like it about it I hate. I love the extra level of detail you get with this. Look at that! Like the railings, the detail on the signals. You can clearly see that those are one-directional signals. The what do you call the bits? The electrical power pole bits. What are they called? Overhead lines. There's a proper name for them. They are clear, and you can see the track. Where in the other version, it's a bit of a mess.
Gantry.
I mean, look, gantry. Yeah, I think it might be gantry. But they the trees are much better looking. We can go to a town and have a look at the stuff here. However, a lot of people don't like this because they find it garish or something along those Cantonary. Yes,
it's a bit too smooth for my liking.
Yeah, so it's too saturated. So these reds and blues that you're seeing here, they're just too red, and like the yellow on the station here, it's just too yellow. It could do with taking down a notch. And yes, because it's a little bit. What was the word you used?
Flat.
Yeah, it is a bit flat, especially in the larger areas and between things. But to be honest, the increased level of detail is a bonus.
It looks like the sort of graphics you'd see in a low poly type of game.
Yeah, and
like
but the thing, it's a good thing to remember because some people are definitely going to prefer this, and there's going to be a lot of people that don't. So there we go. Let's just switch it back. One of the reasons why my game sometimes looks better than when you guys play it at home is because I'm playing this on a 1440p monitor and then you're watching it in 1080p. So it is being crush scaled or whatever you want to call it. There are other graphics. If you go into check online content, there are all sorts of types of things. There's the AI. There's the AI libraries. Then we've got the graphics pack. I don't know why base night graphics is not ticked. I think it's because it's had an update since then. But there's basically A base, which is a fork off Z base that never went anywhere. The night and open. And then there's the original ones you can get off the original TTD disc as well. So there we go. You rely on counting blocks. You lose count with the lines. It's totally lost with that graphics set. I mean, when I'm counting blocks and things, I use track. So if we load our tutorial, if I want to count like how far out from this town I want to be, I'll be like, there's 15. So there up to there, that's 15. I hold shift so that I get like an estimated cost and it doesn't actually build anything. So I'd be like, to there, or between those two trees. That's 3 that way. That's something else as well. It's like the distances. It's all Manhattan distances. Right. Okay, folks. We've talked about building railways. We've talked about signals, building station designs. We've talked about junctions. We've talked about timetabling. We've talked about graphics packs and all sorts of other things. It's been fantastic. Keep your questions coming. We have a little while of this left tonight.
What about plane throughput?
Oh, plane throughput. That's a video. That's an OpenTTD spotlight video there.
Because people just go, I'll place down this airport and this airport, and they don't think about it beyond that.
Right, I am going to do a full video on this, but I'm going to quickly cover it now. Okay. What a good way to visualize airports is to think of them as trains. Okay, so I will put down an airport. We will do... Oh, there we are. There's a large airport. Okay. Large airport. What would that airport look like if it was a train station? Okay, so let's have a look at the available aircraft. And let's have a look at roughly how many passengers we can get on an aeroplane. So most of these, especially these bigger ones, we're around 300, just under 300 passengers. Okay, so we'll say somewhere between 250 and 300 passengers. What would we need on the trains to fit that in? Okay, so if we look at the passenger carriages, we can get 40 people on a passenger carriage. So let's get a calculator up and do a bit of rough maths on this, just because we like maths, right? So one carriage is 40, two is 80, 120, 160, 200 is 4 lots, and if we do another 40, that's going to give us... hang on, that's not 4 lots, is it? Hang on, let's do it the other way around. The aeroplane was 300 and we can get 40 in a carriage, divided by 40. Let's get rid of that. So it's 300... I know you can't see this, folks. 300 divided by 40 is 7.5. Okay, so we'll round that down to 7 because some of the aeroplanes are smaller. So 7 carriages plus an engine in OpenTTD is actually 4 length. Are we agreed? Because you can get 8 units in 4 length because you can get 2 units per square.
Yes.
So this airport can have 3 aeroplanes loading and unloading. Each of those aeroplanes is equivalent to a 4 length train. So if we go into the train stations, get a 4 length train and have 3 platforms, that airport is the equivalent to that train station. Would you build that train station in a large city? No, you wouldn't. You'd build a longer train station. You'd build more platforms. You'd have 4 or maybe even 6, maybe even more platforms. Would you put that airport in a large city? Yes, because you think it's good. But the equivalent railway station of that airport is that thing. Can you deactivate a timetable? As far as we're aware, you have to just go through and clear all the different bits, and then it's no longer a timetable. We had a look earlier, and that appears to be the case, Pat. And it gets even worse. It does. Because this train station can have 3 entrances and 3 exits, right? Has the airport got 3 entrances and 3 exits? No. It's got 1. Just 1. Okay? It's got...
One could be entering and leaving at the same time.
One only can be entering and leaving. So it has got 1 entrance and 1 exit. But only 1 can be leaving or exiting at the same time. So that means you've got a choke point where everything goes through 1 point. And you can see that because they cross over here as well. And there is a depot. So actually, the entire airport and the way that the planes move around can be portrayed like... And this is what I'm going to demonstrate in the video when I get round to making it. Can be portrayed like this. That is the equivalent of that airport in terms of railway track. You have 1 way into the whole thing, 1 way out of the whole thing, a choke point where only 1 plane can move in or out at once, a depot, and your platforms that can hold 3 trains that are quite short. And there you go. That train station is the equivalent to that airport. Would you ever build that station? I would hope not. I would hope that you would probably have a ro-ro in there, or you'd have a better junction. You most certainly would not have this choke point.
One thing a plane is better at than a train, though, is cargo capacity.
In what way?
Well, for the comparison you've done there, for a 4-length train compared to a plane, the plane might have more cargo capacity for, say, passengers.
Well, we just looked at that. So, each carriage can carry 40 passengers, and you would have, in a 4-length station, you can have 7 carriages, and that is pretty much the same as what the aeroplanes are carrying in terms of people. So if you look at the available aircraft and go to all these ones at the end here, you've got 260 passengers, 240 passengers, 300 passengers, so ever so slightly more. I mean, I'm averaging a little bit. But yeah, even later in the game, you don't get a lot more than 300 passengers in an aircraft. You get faster ones, yeah. You get more reliable ones, yeah. But I mean, especially if you go for something like the Yachthugen, that's 100 passengers. And if you're doing 100 passengers, you may as well do this to your train station and just cut the back off. I won't do that because it'll delete the entire station. But let me do it like this.
Oh, yeah, I guess. It's faster, though.
There you go. Yes. Once the plane is in the air and flying around, it is much faster than a train. But the actual airports themselves are the equivalent of extremely terrible train stations. And there we go. That is the kind of high level first round of what my video would be about. Looking at the various different airports, the equivalent train stations, and whether they're actually any good. It would also have to be a terminus with a single track approach, which is what we've got here. Yeah. Timman says the plane is quicker through the choke point. I would disagree, Timman. When those planes are going slowly along the ground, and they do go slowly along the ground, a train may be able to get through there in the same time. And maybe the planes are a little bit quicker. Oh no, a town built a road through your rail network. You hope the cars don't crash with the trains. There's a mod which adds cars, isn't there? I don't think I've ever played around with it, but there is one. And Pat says, do you think the developers designed airports like that on purpose? Because in real life, airports tend to be outside a city, whereas there are smaller, fewer houses and passengers. Are you talking about the original the original Transport Tycoon developer? Because that's going back some. There's certainly there's a certain amount of balance in the game, and I think the developers are well aware of balance. This game is incredibly well balanced in many, many areas. It's actually relatively easy to make profit, but there's also the ability to choose the harder levels, turn on maintenance, turn on cargo distribution. At which point, for most people, it comes quite a challenge.
Interestingly, planes are on, 1/4 real speed?
Yeah, something like that.
So they're actually, nerfed. If you turn them to 1/1, they become even faster, which is
by the default settings, the planes are nerfed as well. So, it's really well balanced. That's one of the reasons why a lot of the mods, especially vehicle mods, I don't use them. They are very difficult to use in a balanced game. You end up trying to play the game and not being able to because the engines are just taking up so much cost, or it's the other way around and it's just so easy and so cheap because the person that made the mod loves the vehicles and thinks that it should be easy to use them, or it's a really good train, it can't have cost that much. Potentially. I mean, I'm not a developer of OpenTTD or any OpenTTD mods, but yes. Can you explain cargo distribution? I will do a short version. Basically, in OpenTTD, passengers at a station have no preference where you want to take them. It's not very realistic, but that's how the original game was made. And to be honest, games have to be simplified to work. If you tried to make a game as complex as real life, you may as well go and just do real life because it's easier. But you've got some passengers and mail here that will go anywhere. If you enable cargo distribution, those passengers will have a preference or a demand of where they want to go. So if you go into the game settings and we do maybe not cargo, distribution, distribution. I'm not seeing it. Cargo. Oh, there it is. Cargo distribution. There we go. So there is different distribution modes for passengers, mail, the armored cargoes, and other items. But if you look at the passengers here, it actually describes the different settings. Okay, so manual is the easiest way of doing it. There's symmetric and asymmetric. So symmetric means that roughly the same amount of passengers will go from station A to from A station A to A station B. They could have worded that differently, as from B to A, so backwards and forwards. Asymmetric means that an arbitrary number of passengers can go in either direction, and manual means they have no distribution at all. So basically, it makes passengers want to go to a certain destination. So if we just save this, we can nip over to my Series 6 Let's Play, where Let's Play Series 6. What episode are people caught up to? Let's go back a few episodes in case people haven't seen the most recent ones. There we go. We go all the... What? I don't recognise that. Oh, I know what that is. If we go all the way down to Corsham Interchange here, there are a lot of different stations all linked up through these tram networks. Yes, there's trams in the game in this one. And you can see that we've got 1,832 passengers, but if we click the plus symbol, you can see that those passengers actually have somewhere that they want to go. So there we go. That is kind of the answer to the question there. Short version, cargo distribution off, passengers go wherever you take them. Cargo distribution on, passengers want to go to a particular place. And if you're playing with cargo distribution, don't make one huge massive network. It will not work. Your trains will be full of other passengers going to other places and won't be able to pick up new passengers because they're just so full of people that want to go somewhere else. I know it's a little bit more realistic, but it's just doesn't work as well. Make sections, make lines with 2 or 3 different stations on, and then have that completely separate to everything else. Hi, Mr. Hellish. Fun tutorial used to play the game a lot makes me happy to watch it. I'm glad that you enjoy it. So yes, cargo distribution is fun. If you want to make OpenTTD more difficult, there are difficulty settings. Cargo distribution is definitely one of them. Playing with maintenance turned on, infrastructure maintenance is another, and that one really does make it much more difficult. Do the passengers only want to go to the towns you have services to? Yes. And that is very important in cargo distribution. Very good question. Because... and I can't think of an exact example. Okay, here's an example, actually. So here... Whoa! Mouse acceleration. Apologies for that. Just disappeared into the North Sea. We have a station called Coal Prehub South, and there's a load of coal here. And you can see that it all wants to go to coal... Oh, actually, there's a typo there. But Coal Hub North Drop-Off. Okay, which is all the way over here. No, it isn't. No, it wants to go to the north. The North Drop-Off. Right? It doesn't want to go to the South Drop-Off. Because in theory, it could come over here, go on the pickup, all the way around the line, and then back to there. But... because there is no service, even though there's a line, and there's stations on the same line, even though there's no service between this station, and where's it gone? Mouse acceleration again, and that station. And because there's no service there, goods will not want to go there in cargo distribution. So even if you do have a big, vast network with lots of interconnected tracks, as long as you're careful with the services you run and what stations are part of those service groups, you'll be okay. It is difficult. It's not so straightforward. It looks like the Ozcast have given up on OpenTTD. We've got somebody saying that they're installing it. I see it in there. What they need to do now is shout out my tutorials, because everybody that wants to play it should go and check them out. They are good tutorials. Okay, let's go back up to our tutorial island thing. That was a good question about cargo distribution. It's difficult enough with the basic settings for me. You can never make profit, says Fed. It's not that easy of a game out the gate. I only find it easy because I've been playing it for 25 years or whatever it is. But you just need to identify a good place to get a good catchment in a town, and don't go too far with your railway line to begin with.
I used to struggle.
Yeah, Brandon used to struggle, and now he always comes second.
No, fourth.
Fourth.
It's either fourth or fourth from last.
Depending how many people there are, eh?
Yeah.
And then I used bi-directional tracks, but you could do passing places. There is a very good chance you could do passing places. You had problems when doing bus only. Oh, you probably will have problems doing bus only. Bus only is a bit of a challenge, because the margins you make on road vehicles is quite small. It actually makes one of the features of OpenTTD, one of the targets, quite difficult. So this is the company league table. If you click the trophy, it shows you the league table. The league table is based on your rank, how good your rank is. And if you go to the high score table, it shows you your rank at the end of your game. And if you look at the detailed performance rating, it will show you how that rank is calculated from your score. And one of those things in there is a minimum profit. And that says the profit of the vehicle with the lowest income. Okay? So, and that is to get 100 points there, your lowest vehicle has to have more than 10,000 profit. Imagine having road vehicles running around your networks all over the place, and not one of those road vehicles can have a profit of less than 10 grand. Now, you can get road vehicles making more than 10 grand. You can. I've done it. It's just difficult. Like, really difficult. Oh, look at that. We're going to have to put a little kink in the track. And we all know there's nothing wrong with a little kink. We say that, and I should explain that a little bit more. We say that because a kink like this will not slow your train down. Okay, if your train is going along and turns in a direction... actually, that's a bad example. Get rid of that. Right, if your train's going along and turns 45 degrees like that, it will not slow down. If your train turns more than 45 degrees, so once and maybe twice, or maybe even 3 times, within its train length, then it might slow down. And you don't want your trains to slow down. But that's in the same direction. So if your train turns right 45 degrees and then turns left 45 degrees, doesn't count. It has to turn right or left in order to have a chance of slowing down within its train length. And whether it does slow down or not depends on a lot of things. It's calculated in the game, but it's just best not to have your trains turn multiple directions. So here we've got a train length of 4, and this inside track here is 5 in length apparently. So in theory, my trains will not slow down, even though they're coming out of the train station. They're doing 45 degrees left, going along and doing another 45 degrees left, Because the gap between the two 45 degrees is longer than the train length, the train should not slow down. And if you're interested in Minecraft, Ilmango just dropped episode 25 of his Skyblock series, which I highly recommend if you enjoy Minecraft.
There's sort of like a momentum mechanic then.
Yeah, it's the same as going uphill and stuff a little bit as well. I think it depends on the vehicle's current speed and its like power. I can't remember off the top of my head. But as long as you just avoid the scenario where the trains just don't turn twice in its train length, that's fine. There we go. Don't do depots like this at stations if you're ever planning on your stations being busy. It will just clog things up. But I'm just doing some little ones here. There we go. So I'm just trying to demonstrate how making one railway line with two stations, one at either end, with very basic junctions, very basic signals, should be able to make us some money. That's what I'm demonstrating here. Go from there, go from here. Don't make them too close. Don't make them too far apart. The signals are all done by the line. It's nice simple signals. We've got signals facing one way all the way down the line one way and facing down the line the other way. Yeah. We've got a message here. I got to 1965 and doing okay, but then the wheels fell off as vehicle replacements ate up all your cash. Well, you need to be careful with your vehicle replacements. And you can change them. You can work it out. So there is a fantastic setting in the game settings. Renew, I think it is. So there's an auto renew vehicle when vehicle reaches so many months after maximum age. Now the default is set to 6 months. If you want your vehicles to renew before they get too old, change that to 0. And here's another one. Auto renew when minimum money needed for renew. If you up that amount, it will leave a bigger buffer in your bank balance before then money is taken out. So for example, if we change this, instead of being 100,000, we change it to 1 million, no vehicles will automatically renew unless there's more than £1 million in my bank account, at which point I've got a lot of money to be able to play around with and stuff. Gilgame says this applies to your station design too, about turn lengths. Yes. So like you basically just need to make sure that your trains are... I mean... Okay, there's a small caveat to the kind of don't let your trains turn through too many sharp turns. And that is around stations, because as a general rule, your trains are going slower and in the process of acceleration and decelerating then. Ideally, you would have some sort of ro-ro station with nice angles and your trains would never slow down. But that was not the case for the most part. This hump here where the train's going up one, I don't expect it to slow the train down. No, it didn't. There we go. Still carried on going 177 kilometers an hour. I think if it had less pulling power, it might slow down. Or if you're going up more than one block. There we go. We've got a train. So we've got a little train going backwards and forwards between two towns. Got relatively good catchment. And you can see... Oh, no, not that screen. This screen. You can see that the train's making money. It's got a bit of profit. And if we do some fast forwarding, the train will go really quick. Because there's very little for my computer to process here. Hopefully it doesn't lag out the stream or anything. There you go. Backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. Wow, that is fast. And you can see now that it's made 59,000 last year and 53,000 this year. So one train going backwards and forwards is making a profit and making our bank balance go up. You can get more trains on that line if you need it. I would say... I mean, doing passengers is different to industries, because for industries you always want a vehicle loading. The reason for that is that if there's a vehicle loading there all the time, you get better station ratings. You get better station ratings, you get a more percentage of the industry's goods being delivered to your station for transportation, percent transported. And the higher the percent transported at an industry, the more chance that its production will go up rather than down. You have settings that make hills higher percentages incline. I'm sure there's settings for that, yeah. Oh, there's also a setting for that speed. So I fast forwarded the game then and it went absolutely crazy. And I think it's because I've changed that setting. So if you go in settings, and this is a relatively new setting. There didn't used to be this one. So if I do fast, where's fast forward? There we are. Fast forward speed limit. So default value is 2,500% normal game speed. Okay. But I've changed mine to no limit. It will go as fast as my computer allows.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And I tell you what, watch this. This is going to be interesting. Like, if we have a look at this train and how fast it moves when I do fast forwarding, it's absolutely speeding along, right? When the game isn't auto-saving, yeah? Then if we save this and go to Season 6, we've got a 4K map instead of a 1K map. And instead of like 7 trains, we've got 850 trains, 300 road vehicles, some ships, and a load of aeroplanes. The same game settings. Watch this train in fast forward. You ready? You ready? It's already in fast forward. It almost looks like normal speed. It's barely any faster because of the amount of extra processing that's going with such a massive map and a large amount of vehicles. If you ever want to know how your computer's coping, you can go to the question mark and down to show frame rate, and it'll show you it here. So you can see the current game speed is a factor of roughly 2. Okay, we've set it to unlimited, and it's going somewhere around 1.6 to 2.
What if you limit it to 2,000? Would it go 2,000 or would it still only go 2?
It'll still go the maximum your computer can handle. So I've just changed it now so it's not fast forwarding and we're going to 1 times speed. If we go back to our tutorial, nope, not there. And we do the same thing again, show the frame rate. We're paused, so that's no good, so unpause. You can see that we're going at 1 times speed. But if I do this, all of a sudden we're going at 130 times speed, 140 times speed. You know? So instead of going somewhere like 1.6 times speed, we're going so quick. That just goes to show what a massive difference the size of your map and the number of vehicles on your map makes. Absolutely makes a massive difference on the amount of toll and the amount of how much your computer has to work. And this is why a couple of years ago we did a 24-hour live stream and the game just slowed down so much we couldn't open TTD. And it's one of the reasons why we're actually doing a triple charity live stream on December 17th. So December 17th, get it in your diaries, notebooks, on your calendars, whatever you're doing. You need to make sure that you get yourself there on December 17th. All the information about that particular event is on my social media and stuff, but it is also on my website. Go to masterhellish.net to check that out. Now we're going to do a game giveaway, everybody. I don't normally do these in tutorials, but why not? We'll give away a game. We'll give away the game... something cool. Iron Dagger sounds cool. Let's do a game giveaway for that. So, to enter the giveaway, all you've got to do is go to entry.masterhellish.net. It should come up in the Twitch chat, or you could just go there by typing it in the website. Log in using the details you used to log in on the website. If you haven't got an account on my website, you can create one for free. Anybody can enter this giveaway. Create an account on the website for free. Go to that website, entry.masterhellish.net, and there's one button to enter that giveaway, and we will draw that before the end of the live stream tonight. Okay, Yogscast are just not doing OpenTTD now. They're doing something else, and I don't know what it is, so we'll close that.
He wants Element TD.
Yeah. So, there we have it. Excuse me, my voice is starting to go. I definitely need more water. There we go. I think that's better. So there we go. Yes, enter the game giveaway, entry.masterhellish.net. If you don't have an account, you can create one for free and enter the game giveaway. All the information you need to know is on that page. Or if you want to look at all the detailed information, like the terms and conditions and stuff, there is a link to that on the page as well. Right then. More questions. I think we've managed to cover a lot of things. We've talked about station coverage. We've talked about how you can make a very basic railway to just start getting going and actually making a profit. We've talked about different layout designs, station designs. We've talked about how airports actually are like terrible train stations with really fast trains. We've looked at using tunnels to allow the town to grow, and so you can have more buildings within your catchment area. We talked about how you can cheat with spread stations. Well, we've looked at this. I did put a train on here. A very basic kind of light railway. I don't know where the train's gone. It's over here. How is this train doing? Train number 3. Let's find out. Train number 3 is going around in circles, as it should do. Made 47,000 last year. It's only is it a 2-length train? It's only a 2-length train, and it made 47,000 last year. If we look at the station, we've got quite a lot of passengers here as well in some of these stations. Yeah, look at that one. And it's only just been there, so what we might need to do is add some signals and put a second train in. You should put the max fast forward at 10% and play at 1/10 of normal speed. That is a good point. The fast forward feature, actually, you can use it to slow the game down. It's really quite cool. So we did this before, and I can't remember. Let's set it at, let's use the example of 10%. 10% of normal game speed, and then let's find a train that's moving that we can have a good look at. Over here, there's a couple of trains moving. There we go. So now when I hit fast forward, it's actually fast slow. There we go. Fast slow. So if you want to actually play the game and be able to build and stuff without turning on the setting to use build while paused. There we are. Build while paused. That's one that I sometimes change for some series. You can actually play it with the trains going around slowly. And that'll allow you more time to build, more time to put things between, but then the game is still moving forward. I've been messing around. We've built stations we've not used. We've got 2 trains. We've got a total of... we've got a group by shared orders. We've got a total of 4 trains, and our company is worth 1.4 million. With a bit of practice, it's not difficult to be successful in TTD. Right, how many people we've got entering the game giveaway? We've got a couple of people.
Longer trains are definitely more worth it, though.
As a general rule, yes. Yeah. If you get them too long, then sometimes you need more engines on them to get them moving at good speeds. You don't want your train so long that the train's acceleration means that the train never gets moving fast. And if the train never gets moving fast, then you don't get good income from it because it takes longer to get to your destination.
I had that problem upgrading from monorail to MacLeod.
Oh, this is why I skip monorail. Okay, Timon says maybe some quick advice about different industries. Do you mean different industry packs? Because there are several of them. If you don't know where to start with furs. It's a good one. But if you're talking about the industries themselves, I mean, the thing that you need to do is try and maximize the amount of transported goods from an industry. You'll then get it to produce more. And the way you maximize the amount transported is increasing your station ratings. And there's, I think, 5 different ways you can increase your station ratings. One of them is building a statue in in the town. That gives you a 10% flat advantage. One of them is to do with the amount of time the cargo is left there at the platform without being loaded onto a train. One of them is something to do with, I think, the top speed of a vehicle, the last vehicle that visited or something like that. I've actually got a video all about that on my playlist for my tutorials. So go and check out my tutorial playlist in there for OpenTTD. Towards the end, I think it is, there's one about maximizing industries and maximizing profits and stuff. So that will explain a little bit more. But the idea is that you want your station ratings to be as high as possible, because that will be good. Okay, Guild Games says start with mail. It makes separate stations for farms. Yes, I would keep your passenger network and your freight network separate. Just because the main reason is actually later in the game you just have too many trains on the line. There's not enough track for the trains. Like, the amount of passengers you've got waiting at the stations just builds up and up and up. You need more and more trains. Your farms start producing more and more grain and livestock. You need more trains to deal with that. And then you just not enough room. There's just not enough room on the track for all those trains. So building separate routes for your farms, separate routes for your passengers, one route for your livestock and grain to be taken to the factory, but then a different, completely separate line for then goods to be taken to the city, rather than using the same piece of track. Highly recommend it, because you're just going to run out of space. You're just going to run out of space. Yeah, so there we go. We've got a couple more people entering that game giveaway, which is nice. Canpool. That's an interesting name. That's an interesting name. We don't need Conham Woods. We'll leave it there, though. The company's making too much money. We're not playing with maintenance turned on here. Oh, here we go. So Tinman says, best/worst start to your game. How you transport grain and livestock and things. I mean, I've had a game where I've just gone so bad. Most of the viewers' games, I think I do worse in viewers' games because I push myself at the beginning to get a really good start, spend loads of money, can't afford any engines, and then the profit just takes forever to climb up. I think once my company just nearly failed completely because I didn't have enough money to build the railway line and the trains at the same time. But I can give a relatively good, like, if we go into my OpenTTD Series 6, let's save this before we leave. By the way, most of my games for OpenTTD are available to download on the website, and if there's one missing and you would like it, come over to the Discord, ask in the forum, and I'll see if I can get it on there, because I'm pretty sure I saved them all. So if we go into my Series 6 Let's Play, when it comes to farms, it can be good to do hubs like this. So you can see we've got a station over here where the train's bringing in some stuff and dropping it off here. It's transferring. We've got 4 lines here that are spread out, going to different places, picking up at a farm and bringing it in. This can be a good way of doing it, because you get a lot of stuff brought into a central place, and then you can take it to where it needs to go. Sorry?
I was going to say, personally, I like doing one train with both on.
There is a big downside to this, is that sometimes you end up with just so much stuff at the hub, you can't shift it. Like, you end up putting extra platforms in, you end up having to doubling up your lines. Sometimes you've got 3 or maybe even 4 sets of track going backwards and forwards between your hub, just because of the amount of stuff that needs shifting. Whereas if you'd have done them as individual lines from all the different farms, you wouldn't have that problem. What you would have a problem is enough room around your factory to actually get your station in, and you end up with something horrendous like this. So it is difficult. Oh, you see all these little signs that I had to place one by one? Version 13, you can drag them. You can drag an area of them.
I thought they weren't going to add that due to griefing.
No. Version 13, you can drag them. Don't know what changed their mind, or if they changed their mind, or if whether that was, what's the word I'm looking for, like a legend, not true. Don't know, but yeah, there we are. Yeah, so the advice with the railway lines is you need to think about how much throughput you're going to have there later in the game. I mean, I'm playing currently in 2042 in this game, so a lot of these farms you can see here, we're getting 234 tons of grain at that farm. This one is terrible, and I don't know why. That one is also terrible, and I don't know why. But then, it's because the station ratings. This is what I was talking about. If you look at the ratings, because we've got so much stuff on the platform and the trains aren't shifting it, the ratings are terrible. And because the ratings are terrible at the hub, these farms haven't increased their production much. Whereas, if you... Whoa! Scrolling acceleration again. Well, let's have a see. Whereas, the farm down here, it's a relatively new one, has a better transported amount, and you can see the livestock is now at 162. So you do get better production if your ratings are higher. Look at that. Really good ratings. 84%, 232. The factory is gone there, yeah. Bill says can't wait for 13. Why? What is it in version 13 that you are really looking forward to? What would be a good map size to start with? It really depends, Fed. Really depends. I mean, it depends on the length of the game that you're planning on playing. It depends if you're playing with other people. If you're playing by yourself, then you probably want a smaller map. If you are doing a particular little challenge and maybe you just want to connect up absolutely everything, perhaps you want to do a smaller map. If you want a really long game, you're starting in a really early years, maybe you're starting very early in when the road vehicles are available or the trains are available and the aeroplanes aren't, and maybe you want to play into the future, so you've downloaded the hover buses and hover trucks mod. Where is it? Let's have a look. New GRFs. Hover vehicles. Maybe you've downloaded hover vehicles and also the VAC train set, so that you can play on into the future. You're going to be playing for longer. If you're playing for longer, then you need a bigger map. So I would say the size of your map depends on how long you want to play for and how many people are playing. And it's very difficult to give a precise answer. You just have to give it a go and realise that if you've done a map that was too small, maybe you need a bigger one next time.
Some of those 1.13 features are really interesting.
Like what?
Like there's wider rivers or map generation. Or
Yep.
build new GRF objects over an area with click and drag.
Yep. Yeah, there's some good things in there. I need to have a really good look at it because when they release that, I'll have to do a spotlight video on it. What's VAC train set? Well, it's vacuum tube construction. We have it here. I'm not using it in this Let's Play because it costs an absolute fortune. Like, for example, like 1 square of it, and let's go into building mode. 1 square of it costs £500,000. So if I want to do a small station, that costs 1.5 million. You know, there's another 1.5 million. There's 10 million for the vac tube.
Jeez.
So that whole thing cost me somewhere in the region of 15 million. Then it cost me another million just to add the depot. But you can get some good stuff here. And the vehicle cost me 9 million.
Is it good though?
Oh yeah, in some ways. I mean that vehicle as well. That's just the engine. Like you need the passenger carriages as well. What's that one? What's the cog mean? Can't remember. Capacity 1 passenger. I don't know about that one. Refittable. What? Has it gone a bit weird? What's going on here?
It appears you have some like different countries installed.
I'm pretty sure they are just part of the normal vac tube ones. So yeah, normal unpowered wagon.
Doesn't appear to be working very well.
No, I think it's the type of carriage that it is. Maybe it's a cargo one. Let's swap it. can I add... Yeah, there we go. Look, I can add extra ones to there. It was the type of engine I was using. So let's get that smaller so it fits in the station. And send it on its way. And because it's vac tube... it's quite quick. But it takes a little while to accelerate as well. So it's going quite slowly here, but then it just builds up some speed. And wham, it goes quite quickly. You can see that the speed here, it reaches 600 kilometers an hour just in that section. And I think, what was the top speed? Information. Maximum speed is 905 kilometers an hour. They cost a fortune to run, but they can make some really good money. Like if you've got lots of money late game, you wouldn't do it like this. This is an extremely bad example of how to use VacTube. You need it over much longer distances.
I'd use it for like a map to map goods route.
Right. Yeah, like one area of the map to the other area of the map. Some more people are entering the game giveaways. How do you download new vehicles? Okay, let's do that. Let's do that one. Let's abandon the game. So, if you go into check online content, you have got all of these different things in here. All of these new GRFs. And you can get all sorts of things. Like, these are what look like they check. Yeah, check realistic replacement engines, steam engines. There's ground sets and rails. There's so many. There's Dutch stuff in here. Look, we've got Dutch signals. We've got Dutch train sets. And all you need to do is tick it, download, and then in the new GRF settings screen, you have to choose which GRF that you want to add to your game. So you might say, I want the Industrial Stations Renewal mod. Click it, put it in there, apply your changes. And then when you start a new game, that mod will be installed. So for that example, it's not an engine, but when I build a train station, it allows me to build lots of different fixtures and different things like plants and stuff. There we are, look. So these are different to the basic ones. Let's get mills and coal mines and things.
Very nice for decoration.
Yes.
And it can make it so spread station looks a little less cheesy.
Yeah. Yes, you can do a spread station without it looking terrible. So, for example, you could put an office building in, like a facility building like this, and just go, oh yeah, well, we need an office over here, and we'll connect it up with that station. And then all of a sudden, like, you can look at the coverage and you can see that you've got big coverage there and there. So there we go. Yeah, I mean, that was a relatively bad example because in the end I chose a mod to show you on the screen that wasn't a train, but the process is exactly the same. You go to the check online content, you find the one you want to try, you download it, you enable it and start your game. You cannot, by default, change mods, GRFs, that are currently in use in a game that's ongoing. So if you save your game, you can't change it. There are two ways of doing it. One of them is by enabling a setting, and then you can go in a certain way and mess around with it. And there's another way where you turn it into a scenario, edit the scenario, the GRFs that are in the scenario, because you can change the GRFs that are part of a scenario, and then change it back into a game save. We'll actually talk about my favourite mods in a moment, quickly. And then, but if you want to know how to do that, again, it's in my tutorial series somewhere. So don't worry about that. It's in there. Full instructions. Right, my favourite mods. Right, I actually have a mod pack. So if I go into the settings here, I've got this Master Hellish Vanilla Plus Plus. I have fish, because it improves the boats. I feel the default boats in OpenTTD are a bit lacking. I feel like there should be some more options.
I've heard we should be using squid instead of fish.
Yeah, I heard that as well. It's just like, I think, a newer version. But in any case, a boat replacement set. Then there's the generic tram set. Basically, if OpenTTD had trams built in, that would be it. And why not? Why not have the trams? There's a button for tram railways, even if you don't have the GRF for it. So the tram set there's use that. Total town replacement set. That's kind of an optional one. I kind of like the look of the replacement on that one. I wouldn't bother too much unless you're fussed. Industry stations renewal is one I highly recommend. You can make your stations that are going to places like coal mines actually look like places that would be at coal mines, not a passenger station at a coal mine. Vac train set and hover vehicle set are brilliant if you want to play the game in the future, past the normal intended date. Bigger train depot, I just think it looks better than the standard one. And the total bridge renewal set, the bridges in that set I think look a little bit better than the vanilla. It doesn't change the gameplay very much, but I think it's a nice tweak. And then if you're looking for some industry challenges, the FURS industry replacement set is there as well. There we go. And there's a lot of love for the Polish and Dutch trains in the chat. They like it. Right, should we announce the winner of the giveaway? I think it seems like a good thing to do. We don't want to do multiplayer. We want to do load game, go back to the tutorial. Seems like a good idea to have that on the screen. I have messed my AI up, but we're just ignoring that today. Right then, and in the giveaways, the winner of the giveaway for Iron Dagger is...
Fantastic.
Danger.
Fed. Congratulations. Congratulations, Fed. You have won that game giveaway. I don't know why the notification's smaller on this screen. Let's make it bigger. Way, there we go. You will receive the game code via your email that you registered on the website with. Congratulations. Everybody clap. Everybody clap. There we go. Right then, folks. What we're going to do now is I am going to take last requests. It's the last orders, everybody. Last orders at the bar, everyone. Last orders now. Everybody get your questions in. Seriously, get your questions in. You what?
Vote routing.
Vote routing?
Without having to click 6 billion times for boys.
Oh, vote routing. I don't think there's an easy way of doing that. You just have to click your boys, and that's it.
I do know that lowering the land and waiting for water to spread into it is cheaper than canals.
Right, here's another one for you. They changed the algorithm for the boat searching. You don't need as many buoys anymore. They've made it a little bit more efficient.
Still need a lot, though.
I can't remember what version it was. It might have been in version 12.1. I'm not sure. But they did improve the boat pathfinding algorithm. Boats can go further without getting lost, and you need less buoys. So that's all good. Routing. The routing of boats. Yes, so basically, if you have a boat, and if I can actually click things without going all over the place, boating construction stuff. Here we go. Let's try and find it there. So if we've got a boat that's going from over here, like that, and it's going over down here like this, it's going to be fine. It's not going to be a problem. That's an airport. We can get a boat, pop it in, do a ship. That one's fine. It's a hovercraft. The hovercraft is almost half decent.
Best boat in the game, in my
best
opinion.
boat in the game, yeah, in many ways.
Because it's just the fastest, but it only carries 100.
It is. But there you go. There it is. And that's going to go backwards and forwards, no problem. Now, because trains have tracks to go down, like this, that's a track. Even if you've got some relatively complex junctions, the different number of options of routes a train can go down is relatively small in comparison to other things. Like, I could go this way, I could go that way. Maybe there's even 50 different combinations of ways it could go. With boats, it's a bit different. With ships. Okay, because there's no track. There's no road. It can go anywhere on anywhere on that water. So that boat needs to figure out the shortest path from where it is to where it can get to and it needs to do it without crashing. Now here, it's quite simple. You can see it's going straight up, and then when it gets to a certain point, it will go straight across, which is fine for small distances like this, because there's no land and stuff in the way. It can find a nice little route. But what if you wanted a boat to go like all the way around the edge of here? Okay, so if you wanted to go from Sundingstow all the way around the edge of the map down to like Funway-on-Sea, the pathing and calculations for that boat to realise that I can't just go straight down, I have to go all the way down here to be able to get round that landmass and come down here, is a lot worse. Hell of a lot worse than railways. And that is where we use buoys, because otherwise it just gets lost. It can't figure out that amount of distance to get round that landmass and calculate efficient routes. So you put some buoys in like this, and you use them like waypoints. It goes from one to the other, and then it only has to look to how to get to the next buoy. And recently they improved it, so you didn't need 75 million buoys along the edge of your water.
Ordering those is such a pain, because you have to do it backwards as well, unlike trains, which you don't.
Well, it depends how you want your trains to work.
Yeah, of course. But...
I mean, because trains have implicit orders, and they will stop at stations unless you select non-stop. If you've got a line of stations where you go from one side of the world to the other, visiting stations along the way, and then back again, you can just do the two end stations. As long as you don't put non-stop, the train will just stop at all the stations along the way one way, and all the stations back. So even if you have a long line of track and you've got like 50 stations along that line, you just need to select either end and the train will just visit all the stations and put in the implicit orders as it goes and just leave it.
That would have been useful to know for the last charity game we did.
Well, I'm really looking forward to the next charity game, which is going to be on December the 17th. We're doing 3 OpenTTD games. All the details are on my website about what times it's all going to be and all that sort of thing. So don't forget to head out to masterhellish.net to find out that. We're going to be live streaming it on Twitch, on YouTube. It's even going to be on Facebook, for goodness sake. We're also live streaming right now on Steam. So hello to no one watching on Steam. On the OpenTTD page there. But let's just check. Have we got any more questions? So we've got some love from you, Brandon, for the fishboat mod. We've got the questions about boat routings and so forth. Can you live stream on Steam? You can live... Yeah, I can. If you go to my website, masterhellish.net, at the bottom... I think I've just clicked the link to spam it in chat again. At the bottom of the website, on every page, there are links to all sorts of stuff. And one of those links is to streaming places. And you can click the Steam link and it will take you to this live stream, which I don't know if I've muted, so we might get some double audio. It looks like it's muted by default. It is. The website, on every page, there are links to all sorts of stuff. And one of those links... There you go. So that was me from Steam, and the link to that is on my website. It's got my other video locations, including which is labelled Hellish 2, which is my variety channel. There's all sorts on there. All my different social medias, different ways to get in contact, different ways to support me. Best way to support me, Master Hellish Viewer Plus, where we've got 45 people currently supporting. And thank you very much to ALM. You are a fantastic Viewer Plus subscriber. More information about Viewer Plus on the website as well. There's also links to the GTA crew, the EVE Online Corp, the World of Warcraft Guild, which we're not active on, and the Steam Workshop, where I've got other bits on there too. Right, when do you recommend upgrading to maglev or keeping a train at a diesel or electric? Jordan, good question, and it actually brings up an interesting point. Every time you play a game of OpenTTD, the vehicle's reliability is calculated based on the seed of the game. And a vehicle's reliability starts relatively low, and then the older it gets, it goes up, and then it has a second phase where it's stable, so the reliability stays the same. And then as it gets really old, the reliability comes back down again. And the maximum height of that reliability and the starting amount of that reliability changes from game to game. So you might decide that moving to maglev might not be a good idea as soon as the first maglev train comes out, because in the game that you're playing, its reliability might be really low. Or the maglev train might come out and you go, actually, that's a relatively good reliability. I'm going to move things to maglev. Also, how much of the map you move to maglev should be dependent on whether you're playing with the infrastructure maintenance turned on. Infrastructure.
I kind of wish you could tell it to always be the same seed for vehicle maintenance.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that in the game it's one of those things that's slightly random.
It's nice to be random, because one game it'll be like, oh, the SH40 is good. Oh, it's bad.
Yeah, but in some ways that's good, because it means you're not always doing exactly the same thing in every game. It adds, you have to be a little bit flexible with your tactics, and I think you could actually end up, it'd be nice to have more of that in OpenTTD. It might be nice where in a certain game, like the cargo payment rates are slightly different. Because as far as I know, the cargo payment rates for how much you get for different things are exactly the same all the way through. I think it would be nice if not only are the cargo payment rates slightly randomized depending on the game seed. So for example, maybe it's not valuables that's king of the hill, maybe it's oil that's king of the hill for one of them, but I think it should also change over time. So to begin with, in the early days, maybe oil's not so much, and coal not so much, but grain is, and all that sort of stuff is. And then as you go through the years, maybe coal becomes more popular and then dives down again. Oil becomes more popular later on, and then steel later on too. Maybe it should go sort of wood, coal, oil, steel sort of through the years as they change. I think that would be really good. That would be a fantastic feature.
I think the game recommended today has an economy feature where the more you deliver of something, price goes down.
Yeah, that'd be also interesting as well. Like the more of one thing that you do, it's supply and demand. Like you're providing extra supply. If the demand doesn't change, you're going to get the prices going down. Okay, let's go through some of the questions here. Meowie says, one tip for boats is to use ship depots instead of buoys in the order list if you play with breakdowns enabled, so you have servicing points along the way. That's a really good tip. And one of the reasons why that's a good tip is because boats don't slow down going in and out of those depots. And another reason is that boats can go over the top of each other. So it doesn't actually, you don't have a time penalty for going through there. I think there's a micro stop, like it just quickly stops and starts. But unlike trains, where depots can clog things up if you've got lots of trains queuing to get into it and stuff, it's a good thing to do. If you're playing with infrastructure maintenance turned on, you might not want to do that, because I bet a depot will cost you a lot in maintenance compared to a buoy, but it's definitely worth considering. Timon asks, can anyone join the OpenTTD games in the charity? Yes, anybody can join it. We're going to have them as open public games. The passwords will be, I think, on the website, so you'll have to go to the website to check that out, because there'll be the rules and then the password beneath it say like, yes, I'll play by the rules, and then you get into the games. Viewer plus people will get priority entry on a number of slots. So for example, if we've got 50 slots available for the game, we'll probably allocate 10 of those slots to viewer plus people. The first 10 viewer plus people to get in there will get it. The lighting in my room just changed because it was midnight, and it shouldn't. Okay, I think that's a bug in the smart home thing that I've got going on here. But yeah, we won't allow Viewer Plus to just take up all the slots. There's a certain amount of Viewer Plus slots but then after that, yeah, everybody can come piling in. It's a public game. We'll have a lot of fun. Ben says, thanks for the tutorials over the years. I've found them helpful and easy to follow. I'm glad you enjoy them. If you like my OpenTTD tutorials, you might like my Railroute tutorials. It's not a free game, but I really enjoy Railroute, and I would recommend it, or at least looking at it. The developers are making a fantastic job of making the game very enjoyable and intuitive. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say it or not. I'm going to say it anyway. They're going to be adding shunting to the game as well, which will be really nice. We've got another question here. Why is my city shrinking instead of growing when it's supposed to be expanding every X days? Right, that is a good one, because it might be weird. Like you look at a city and you look at its growth rate and it says town grows every 200 days. And then all of a sudden you see a building disappear. Why is that? Doesn't make sense. What's going on? The town's supposed to be getting bigger, not smaller. Well, that is when the town decides to replace one or more small buildings with a larger building. So don't worry, it isn't shrinking. The town is growing. It just sometimes a town will remove buildings as part of its growth cycle. Okay, a few tips if you want a town to grow. Make sure you have 5 stations within the town, each receiving and picking up a item of cargo. I think it's once every 3 months at least. Draw the road layout for the town as well. That'll help it grow. Yes, Brandon says it there. City destroys buildings to replace them for better ones. So it does look like they're shrinking, but they're not. Fed says it'd be good to what? It'd be good to vary depending on the industries accepting all those cargoes. Yep. Supply and demand thing. That could be good. Hi, Eric. You've come in towards the end of the stream, but if you've missed any of the stream, would like to see more, you can go and check that out on my YouTube or Twitch afterwards. Thanks for my tutorials. You're welcome. Well, there we go, folks. It's midnight here. I have work early in the morning. It has been fantastic to sit here and chat to you about OpenTTD, to talk about the mechanics of the game, answer your questions and just geek out on the subject. I am wearing a Master Hellish t-shirt. These are available from the stores, store.masterhellish.net, but these ones might not be there for long because we're changing out all the merch on the store over the course of next year. So if you want to grab something, if you like something that's on the Hellish store, I would grab it before the end of the year because it might not be there next year. You never know. Okay, a couple of quick things before everybody goes. Please don't forget the charity game on December the 17th. I would love for as many people as possible to be there. Let's make it our biggest stream ever. We'll give away the largest amount of money ever, the most prizes ever, and all that sort of stuff. I've got some pretty cool stretch goals, including there might be a wig. We'll see. It's going to be a fantastic charity event. And next year we'll be starting OpenTTD Series 10, which is going to be brilliant. It's going to be videos and it's going to be live streams. We're going to have so many the 10th anniversary. We've got OpenTTD Series 10. We've got 10 amazing giveaways throughout the course of the year. All sorts. It's so much going on. We've got a special commemorative piece of merch that we're going to be having. It's going to be exciting stuff. And next year, I am so determined. I really am determined to make it work. Fantastic free games will be launching at some point next year. It's all in the works. It's all in the works. And if you basically, like, if you love OpenTTD because it's a good game and it's free, how about a whole catalogue of good games that are free? Fantastic free games. It's going to be good. It's going to be a good year. Oh, yes. The logo's done and everything. The first video's nearly finished. And I haven't even started the next one yet, so it's going to be great. So, yeah. Fantastic charity stream to end the year. Brilliant new OpenTTD stuff next year. Fantastic free games is coming. And lots of awesome stuff too. Remember, best way to support me is by looking at Viewer Plus on my website. It is appreciated. If we hit that 50 goal, we unlock even more giveaways and even more fantastic stuff. But that's going to be all for me for now. We're going to get going, get to bed. Will Fantastic Free Games be more documentary type thing, or Fantastic Free Games will be a mixture of review and tutorial and let's play? Okay, depending on the game. Some games might not get a tutorial. Some games might only get a tutorial. Some of them will, and every one of them will get one review video. So every game on the Fantastic Free Games list will get a review. Some of them will have tutorials. Some of them will have Let's Plays. Some of them will have neither. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Excited. I'm really excited. But I need your support. I do. So first thing you can do is support me on the charity event. I'll see you there, folks. Can you tell I'm excited? I'm giddy with excitement. Maybe that's tiredness. I don't know. Take care, everybody. Enjoy OpenTTD. Enjoy my content. I'll see you soon. Bye.